Welcome, everybody, to the CrossFire podcast. It is Friday night, and, I was going on a rant, and Noof politely reminded me that we're doing a show. So he said to me, could you do me a favor, Mooch, and save it for the goddamn show? So here we are, folks. We're going to save it for the show. We got a stacked lineup. We've got a lot of talented folks here tonight. You're probably not going to hear so much Mooch. Well, who you kidding? I never shut the hell up. You're going to hear a lot of Mooch tonight, but we've got great people. Let's get to them. The one, the only. It's Friday night. He's going to game whether he wants to or not. Crap Gamer. Crap, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up? Happy to be here. Yeah, it's another Friday edition of the show. You already got some people donating.
Yes.
So that's how you can tell it's a CrossFire show.
Mooching going on in the chat.
Yeah, it's going to be a good day. So let's kick this shit off.
Let's do it, Crap. I completely agree with you. Next, he's brought himself back. Folks, he's back. He's alive. And Florida's above the actual Mississippi line. It's Clowns. He's not dead. Clowns, how the hell are you?
Hey, what's up? It's it's good to be alive. Crap threw a skittle at me and gave me pink eye for like 2 months, but I'm back.
Nice. Yeah.
We missed you, bro. We definitely did. And I got my buddy here who's already done 16, 17 podcasts before you woke up. Senora Bombastic Boom. Welcome, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Oh, great, man. We have a lot to talk about. News breaking literally before the show starts. Great panel of people. And, of course, the chat is already on fire. So this is going to be a great show.
Yes. Without the oops. And then let's get to our special guest. Good buddy of mine. Actually, when I started CrossFire, he was on with us weekly. Rand Althor. Rand, welcome back, buddy. Always good to have you on. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. How you been?
I'm doing pretty good, Mooch. I was hoping to be on a podcast with Johnny Podcast tonight, but it sounds like he's just regular old crap gamer.
Just regular old crap gamer.
Regular old crap gamer, Johnny Podcast.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll step into a phone booth and come out later. You never know, all right? It's been known to happen. And then I've got my buddy here who's known as Boom Boom Kaboom. He's probably sitting in your living room. Noof Nukem, how are you, buddy?
Pretty close to it. The energy is high. Lots of topics to get into. Thanks for having me on Crossfire with this incredible panel. And yes, the energy is really high. Mooch has been rolling right before the show even started. I can tell he's been swinging to the left, swinging to the right with Spider-Man all night. Yes. I've been seeing him on the PS4. Good for you, Mooch. But anyway, let's get down to it.
Yes, sir. My arms are exhausted. Trust me. Listen, here's the deal, guys. I want to say it like this. I'm going to open it this way, and I hope all you guys get it. Okay? With death, there's also life. Okay, folks? So a lot of times you see these articles, and this is late breaking news as of mid-afternoon, maybe early evening. We see that Telltale Games is downsizing their studio, which is pretty much a really polite way of saying we're on the way out by 90% or more. And here's the thing. I'm just going to do a quick rant, and then I'm going to turn it over to the panel. I just really think that certain times you've got to look at sometimes with the product that's coming out of these companies. Everybody likes to immediately run to their phone and tweet out, oh, my God, my hearts and prayers and thoughts are with these folks. I hope they actually – listen, they're going to eat tonight, folks. Okay, they're going to eat, and they're going to get a job, and they're going to be just fine. The problem is that the Telltale Games were just getting tired, old, and boring. It's just the way it was. Even if you liked them. They were getting tired.
They were getting better. They were getting better and better.
They were so great. They're out of business. Now, listen, Crap. Here's the deal.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like what happened was after the huge success of the first Walking Dead season, it was just one of those things where people just kind of took it for granted. I don't know if the release them, every other month, like that kind of schedule thing, people forget about them and then don't buy the rest of them. It was a real problem. But I would say that they really stepped their game up. They had revised the engine. Everything was looking better, running better.
Right.
It was fantastic. I don't know anybody that wasn't excited about Stranger Things or Wolf Among Us 2. Wolf Among Us 2 was one of the finest narratives you'll ever see in a video game. So I mean, to see this is a devastating blow.
It's not devastating.
You need these.
These guys, there's going to be somebody who picks up the same thing that they were doing and probably do it better. And there's 5 or 6 new studios just coming from Microsoft alone. These guys are all going to get employed.
No, but even if they get employed, which is great, good for them, you lose a big aspect type of game like that, which we probably won't see. Like, who's going to take a risk on a type of game like that clearly didn't make them any money?
What about a company like Microsoft that needs it for Game Pass?
Microsoft is only after things that are going to make them a surefire thing. You know, they aren't going to go out. They aren't going to go, hey, Telltale, let's buy your games and your IPs.
But wait, but why do we? But why is it if sales are low and the games didn't do well, are we going to sit here and say it's a devastation to the gaming community? It's really not.
It is, because a lot of people like these type of, myself included. Like I get every single one. I think they're. I just said this.
You weren't in the pre-show when we were talking about this. I say sometimes I think we're just a little engulfed in the world that we're in with podcasting, and even the guys in the chat, folks in the chat. You guys are involved on Twitter and you're in a big gaming community, and we talk about these games and you see the developers come out and discuss these types of games, and we think these are things that a lot of people play, but a lot of people don't. And that's the thing. And same thing happened with the Rockstar game, not Rockstar, pardon me, the Guitar Heroes, right? They just started, like, it was like, don't forget next week, Van Halen's greatest. Don't forget next week, Guns N' Roses greatest. Don't forget Poison. Michael, what's his name there?
Yeah,
Michael's showing up at your mall to sign. Like, it just got too much.
I think the real problem is, though, you weren't really a fan of those, so it's easier for you to kind of shit on them. And you haven't really played a lot of them. I don't know. I mean, like, we don't know the specifics of them, but I mean, they got given away on games with gold and PlayStation Plus before, and they were on a lot of different things. It's just, it's a real shame. Maybe they should
your games with gold editions.
Yeah, they should have. They maybe should have tried to do their own. They seem to go with the license things a lot. Yeah, they really evolved. If you go back and play some of the earlier stuff, like the Back to the Future, not nearly as good as what they were doing now.
Right.
It's a real shame that we didn't get to see them fully transition to that new style that they were working on with the new vision and things like that. So, pour one out, another studio gone, another talent gone, another type of game gone, less choice, less diversity. That's never a good thing. So,
I'm going to say this. I want to just, pile on what Crap is saying. First and foremost, one of their best games in their entire series was Wolf Among Us. It was an original story, and that game was fantastic from start to finish. Like I said, it's almost a crime that we're not going to get the second part, because out of everything that they had coming, and they did have a significant amount of games on the way, that's the one that I was most excited about. And and we talked about this pre-game. I know that you were saying that Microsoft doesn't take a chance; they want to make money. But Mooch made a good point. Again, this is completely speculation on my part. We don't want me making any predictions, because you know how that goes.
Right.
But I will say this. Microsoft is in a position to that they need to fill Game Pass. And like Mooch was saying, episodic content like this, especially if their style of game was exclusive to the Microsoft platform, that could be something. Now they're obviously going to file Chapter 11 if they haven't already.
Right.
And I think that the company, could be saved with Microsoft stepping in, and who knows, they could get the company for pennies on a dollar.
Right. I can tell you why they won't. First of all, they don't really own any IPs. They're all licensed.
Right, everything's licensed. Yes.
Yeah, those licenses are probably expensive, and the business model wouldn't work out. Like, they didn't sell when they were on iOS, Android, you could play, I guess, whatever, your watch. Like, literally, you could play on everything, and those games didn't make money. Right.
I just want to say the one other thing, Crap, before I lose the thought of it. What you're saying makes perfect sense, but could you just imagine if this was another way to get a Halo game out there that's not 343? You understand what I'm saying? Like, they have their own IPs.
Yeah, I mean, they did that with Minecraft, the story mode, right?
Yes.
And I thought they did a pretty good job with that. But again, apparently that was a big flop. So
yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm with you, Crap. I think it's I 100% agree that this is. It's a shame that this is happening, and it is a unique genre that we're not really.
Let me say this, and then I want to pass it on to Rand, and I want to hear Noof as well. I just want to say, with my opening sentence there, the statement saying, "With death becomes life." We sat here for weeks now, 8 weeks now, 9 weeks. We're sitting here about talking about the new studios that are opening up at Microsoft, and there's all these new developers coming out from nowhere making these things. Listen, it's not what you guys think. It's not doom and gloom. These guys are all going to be working for someone else, taking their talents, just like anyone else does.
But we won't have that style of game anymore.
But here's the thing: we were drowning in those games, and I know they
scaled back, and they were doing, like, I really like the Batman ones were phenomenal.
They were great.
They were, like I said, the Tales from the Borderlands was better than Borderlands. That was the funniest, most clever writing I've ever seen in my life. It is
Guardians
hilarious.
of the Galaxy was fantastic too.
Great. Yeah, they really did a good job. It's a shame that they didn't pick up. I would have loved to seen them get a little bit more. Like some of that stuff deserved to be like when the first one won Game of the Year. That really kind of put them on the map, and then it was, I guess, that model is really difficult. A lot of people buy stuff.
I always took those games crap to kind of that was like the reading a book edition of playing video games for some reason. It just very slow paced, a lot of reading if it was subtitles, or it was just a lot of story that kind of dragged on. And then when you were done with all that, you kind of just moved your cursor around to see something like that was glowing in the corner, and you walked to it again. Don't get me wrong, I actually thought, believe it or not, the family enjoyed the Minecraft edition. That was actually something I thought they did. I don't know how they were going to do that, by the way. I thought that was a marvel. You want to give the tip your cap to them. The other one's Batman, Walking Dead. They've got comics and stories to go by. With Minecraft, they had to really make that shit up on the fly. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't very easy to have 25 blockheads have a conversation together. But I mean, Rand, what do you think about this? I mean, you play a lot of games. Sometimes people say you play them because you wanted to get the easy achievement points. Were these games that you played for the achievement points, or because you generally had a fondness toward them?
I mostly had a genuine fondness for them, like crap. I love Tales from the Borderlands. I love Walking Dead Season 1. Right. Really enjoyed Wolf Among Us. But yeah, the decline in quality was pretty apparent. Game of Thrones was terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy was boring. Their recent stuff suffered, and I think it's because they bit off more than they could chew. They tried doing too many projects at once, and I think this reeks of upper management disaster, people mismanaging the company. And I hear people wanting the studio to be bought out by Microsoft or even PlayStation. I've seen PlayStation guys say, "Hey, Sony, pick up the studio," but I think everybody fails to realize there is no studio anymore. It's gone. It's already gone. There's nobody left. There's 25 people literally there to finish out the obligations and contracts they have, and then the studio's gone. Yeah. What I saw Matt Piscatella say on Twitter, that this reeked to him of a potential studio acquisition gone wrong. Somebody was in talks to buy Telltale Games, and then they backed out, and because of that, they realized that they couldn't
sustain
keep the studio afloat, and they basically had to let everybody go. And if you take a look at what Matt Booty said about the studios that they're looking to buy for provide content for Game Pass, they're looking for mid-range studios, which is maybe a little bit more, because Telltale was about 300 employees, so that's a little bit higher than mid-range. But they said they wanted a creative visionary leader and talent at the studios. But like I said, studio's gone. The creative visionary leaders are gone. There's nobody there. So just by their own things they're looking for, it wouldn't fit that bill. So of course, Microsoft and Sony wouldn't bother stepping in. Like Crap said, the games, or like you and Crap both said, nobody's buying the games. So what are they going to do? You have a studio that made games that people really seemed to like but didn't seem to buy. Right. And it's unfortunate that they're going to go away. Like Crap said, this style of game, they were kind of like the torchbearers for it. And I don't know why. It was a failed business practice. Maybe their licensing of the IPs were too much. You know, I would imagine it's not a pretty, it's pretty expensive to get, Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman and Minecraft and Game of Thrones.
And that's what I was saying, Rand. That was my point, is that, that's an expensive ticket. And again, I really try, and I ask everybody in the panel, me and Crap have this conversation like twice a week, whether it be on the air or off the air. I'll say to them, I'll say, Crap, you've got to remove yourself from the world we've been in for 4 years, which is surrounded by gamers. So even 25, 30%, even when a game's barely played, right? I'll say, well, there's 25, 30% of the people we hang out with that are always playing those games. I'm just saying, for what the licenses cost, and shout out to the Don, who also said what you just said, Randy, that the licenses cost too much and they had a hard time keeping staff, is realistically, I don't think the masses, for that kind of cost, right? When you see what Netflix paid for the Marvel deals that they have, you have to have a tremendous amount of people subscribed. And I just don't see that happening with something like this. Now, the other thing is that, again, and I know we've beaten this into the ground, but realistically, something like Game Pass, which is like, which is like a Netflix for gaming in all practical purposes, that may be something where Microsoft can buy the licenses, throw it in there. They're going to have millions of people already signed up for this. That money will pay for itself. Even if it's a break-even event, it gets butts in the seats. You know, so I mean, I think that's something like that where I don't think the masses, like I was saying this, I don't think it was water cooler talk. Nobody was like, hey, did you guys play that Wolves Among Us last week? That thing was killer. Nobody said that at work.
Yeah.
I think if Xbox Game Pass if it had been around for longer, like 5 years, and was like an established thing, then maybe, and if Microsoft knows all the data behind it, like what type of games people want, then maybe they step in and do something about it because they know, like, hey, these type of games are popular with the service. But quite frankly, the service is pretty damn new. It's 2 years old, but now there's still a lot they're learning. Nobody's ever really done this particular type of service before, so I think maybe it's just one of those things of like bad timing, kind of like the whole Remedy situation where it was like, hey, Remedy wants to make games, Microsoft needs games but doesn't have the funding for it, and now all of a sudden like they went multi-platform just when Microsoft was about getting funding to make new games. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like I think it's a situation there of just bad timing. Like maybe if this was 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe it's viable for them to pick it up for Game Pass, but I don't think it was there yet.
What do you think, Noof?
Hey, I think the biggest problem Telltale Games has is the fact that they didn't figure out a way to put Battle Royale into one of their games. That's the problem. There you go. Look, in all seriousness, look, they went to the well one too many times is what I think. I think they're phenomenal games. I think they're a highly talented studio. Their art style, their story, their direction in most of their games was phenomenal. The Wolf Among Us might have been one of their better efforts, and The Walking Dead was pretty solid throughout. I mean, they started out on a very strong, right? They started out strong. They came out of nowhere with this game, and it was a refreshing change of pace from all the action games and the shooters we had, right? They hit the jackpot at the right time, and they also had a lot of critical success. But it's like a lot of companies, they get that swell head and they go, well, what can we attach this formula to? What license can we put it on? And hopefully the license is big enough that it just basically sells without any further ado, right? And it's always a bad sign when the game ends up on freaking Games with Gold, or it's in a bargain bin within 6 months of coming out. I mean, that's usually not a good sign, right? I mean, look, people, like you said, they loved them, but they didn't really buy them. And that was because, again, the formula got stale quickly. We kind of knew what we were in for. It's like, okay, they're going to tell a story. They're going to give you choices, and you're going to make choices. The game's going to be over. You're going to roll up 1,000 achievements. At the end of it, people were more or less playing a lot of these games just to get the quick achievements and then fuck off. That was pretty much it. They're a talented studio. Like I said before the show, what they should have done at some point with a big studio like that is maybe eased up on the license a little bit, maybe even branched out and did something a little more creative with what they were doing, and actually make a full game that isn't just art on top of like decision making, where they like you actually do control a character, like you would control a character like Spider-Man or Lara Croft, or in a fully realized world with the great storytelling and decision making that they gave you those. Because I loved how they pulled at your emotional heartstrings and they gave you real choices. You don't get that in a lot of video games, but again, it's like going to your favorite pizza joint too many times. Eventually, you're just like, you know what? I'm just not in the mood for this pizza anymore. You know what I mean? That's how it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And there was a couple of actual indie games, and Rand, I'm not going to remember it now, but there was a couple early on in this generation. You gave it a great review. And actually, people I know, when Microsoft ended up giving it away on Games with Gold, they loved it. And it was very much what Noof's talking about. It was where you were kind of like a Zelda-ish game where you were this female character, and you went around, and there was a lot of storytelling, and it was magic to it, and it was a lot of fun. And I think Noof is right. If they could have taken their talents and added something to it, or acquired, and maybe did a more dumbed down version as far as not having to go get a Batman title or these big names, that might have helped them. And, clowns, before I get to, I want to say to everybody in the chat, guys, tweet it out, hit the like button, hit the bell, the subscribe button, everything every other YouTuber says every time you join their show. Hit it. Do something. Hey, clowns.
Yo.
What do you think, buddy? What do you think about Telltale? What's going on with you guys? Did you ever play it? Did you ever care when this news hit you? How'd you feel?
Very depressed about this Mooch. I love Telltale Games. I'm there with Rand and Boom and Crap. You know, I like the stories they told. I felt they were enchanting. Right. Later on, though, like Rand said, it kind of felt like washed down. So maybe too many projects at once, bad management, bad money management, all that stuff. It's just a sad time in this millennial era, Mooch. You know, I'm just very depressed about this.
Well, I mean, listen, I got news for you. Again, the positive spin on it is a lot of these guys are going to get jobs and be working for all these new studios that are open. They're going to have a chance anyways, right? That's what life is. It's all about chances. And I'll tell you right now, I think these guys are talented. They put together a decent product. I just think, like we said, I think we got a little bit worn on it. Moving on to our next subject, though, I do want to talk about this, guys. This is a big deal because someone was kind of bringing this up and they said, I didn't think it was that big of a deal when PS Now came out and said you can download the games. You can now download their games directly to your hardware, the same way you can do with your Xbox, Game Pass, etc., EA Access. Now you can do this with your PS Now games. Now, what do you guys think on the panel? And I'll start with Rand. We'll start with our guest. Rand, do you think that this now makes PlayStation Now a viable competitor to Xbox Game Pass? If so, how? Or if not, how?
I mean, yeah, it's more of a competitor now than it was before, for sure. Now then they basically do the same thing.
Is PS Now strictly and only PlayStation games, or is there third party as well in there?
No, Mooch, they have 650 games on there. They're not all like Sony's games, obviously.
Well, come on. So Sony, they only print gold. Go ahead, though, Rand.
Okay, so before it was streaming only, right?
Right.
That was the big complaint about PlayStation Now. Like, you were at the mercy of your internet, and if it sucked, the game with the lag and all that stuff, it just wasn't right.
Right.
Well, clearly competition's good because Sony decided to add downloads to the service so you can natively download PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 2 games, not PlayStation 3, which does make up the majority of the catalog. There are 480 games from the PlayStation 3 in there. So what you're actually getting is 150 PlayStation 4 titles and 12 PlayStation 2 titles. 120 Xbox games on Game Pass, like Xbox One, 60 Xbox 360 titles, and like 3 OG ones.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, the whole thing comes down to the quality of the games in the services themselves. Which one, and I can't tell you if this game's better than that game. I will say, though, looking at the list, Microsoft tends to add newer games more quickly at Xbox Game Pass, while Sony does tend to go towards like older games, like 3 years old and stuff. And Sony does have some of their exclusives on there. They have God of War 3 Remastered, they have Until Dawn, and they have Killzone. But and Bloodborne. Like, Bloodborne was the last big addition.
Yeah.
But like I said, all those games are a little bit older. There was one interesting aspect about this is that if you are subscribed to PlayStation Now and you want to play a multiplayer title, you don't have to pay for PlayStation Plus to play it. Like, you automatically can play the multiplayer. Where obviously with Xbox that's a little bit different because you could download Sea of Thieves on Game Pass, but then you still need Xbox Live Gold to play the actual game.
I'm glad you brought this up, Rand. I do have the two kind of tied together here. I think we should talk about it. Anybody who wants to take the mic, you can talk about either subject, how it relates to your point. But I think that's something that's important. You have Microsoft, and you had Mikey Barr I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago or a month now, where he made that tweet where it was kind of a jab at the crossplay stuff. And Sony really needs to relinquish the shackles and do this and do that and blah, blah, blah. But meanwhile, this is now starting to pick up a little bit of steam here, where now you have Nintendo came out and did their Fortnite box. Okay, PlayStation has theirs. PlayStation is now making an effort to say, hey, when you do download one of our games, you don't have to have PS Plus to play it. Is this something where Microsoft, personally, I can't believe I'm saying this. I didn't think this was it was quite a retaliation. I think Microsoft has to stand fast. I think they've got to relinquish the paywall.
I will say, if you look at the PS4 games, Sony's calling me right now. They don't want me to say this. But if you actually look at the list of games that actually have multiplayer, it is a very small list.
Yes.
But the headline is what will draw people in because I don't need to subscribe to play multiplayer if I'm already subscribed to the service, where on Xbox, I have to. And that will be a big sticking point for some people because, there's this whole give and take on which company is more pro-consumer and which one's more anti-consumer, right? You have Mikey Barr 1 week being like, we want crossplay for everything, right? And everyone's like, yeah, so pro-consumer. And then like the next week, they're like, by the way, Nintendo's letting you play Fortnite for free. And they're like, well, so does Sony. That's so pro-consumer. What about you, Microsoft? And they're like counting over there, counting the checks, counting the money coming in. Like, yeah, whatever. So
yeah,
it's
I
like,
can't hear you.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Well, hold on. I actually am getting a call now myself, so I actually have to answer that.
That's fine. I mean, what do you guys think about? My whole thing is that I think Microsoft has got to kind of put up or shut up here. And the thing is like they're doing this whole like kumbaya, right? You get a free candle with your Xbox One X. You get a lot of different things. You got Phil Spencer's favorite incense. All kinds of things come with these things, guys. Right? So if this is what's going to happen, realistically, I think they got to drop. Listen, this isn't. I don't think this is a major loss for them on their Xbox Live money. Well, I still think you have to play. You still have to pay to play, your Call of Duties and your Halos. But if it's a free-to-play game, like I'm picking on Fortnite,
right?
Then I think they should let you play the game. They're the ones that Phil said it in an interview just a short time ago, where he said, "I believe you should be able to play Minecraft or Fortnite on your iOS, your Android, PC platform, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo." Right? He said that, not me. So then they're like, "Hey, Phil, what about the Fortnite guys? Can they play for free?" And he's like, "What?" You know what I mean? So what do you guys think about that? I think
actually they say nothing. They're not saying much of anything.
Right, nothing.
So, well, I mean, yeah. So it's a weird situation because what we're seeing is that Microsoft is talking out of their ass. It's like a lot of this must be just PR. It's just PR. It's like when it suits them. Hey, let's talk about it, but they should have made sure they cleaned up their own backyard first. Like that shit should all been free to play. And then you have it. Instead, you have this kind of thing. But I will point out that there is a little bit of bullshit in Sony's little thing too, where you have to have PS Plus in order to bring over your saves, your cloud saves and stuff. And that's a little bit of a misnomer as well. So a lot of people are going to talk about how you don't need the PS Plus to play the handful of games that are actually multiplayer on that. But at the same time, you do if you're playing it on the stream and you want to bring it over and download it, then you have to have PS Plus.
Well, crap. I mean, Sony, you need PS Plus to access cloud saves. Period.
Yeah,
that's not for that. I mean, that's for the whole system.
And they do that. They do that nice DRM check-in. That.
Well, I mean, like I said, everybody has their own versions of pro-consumer and anti-consumer. Each company, well, they do one thing right, they do another thing wrong. It's
basically whatever Sony does is right, whatever Microsoft does is wrong, depending on the time, and then just however the narrative shifts.
Well, Crap's right because that narrative couldn't have shifted any faster, right? I've never seen a willow tree in a hurricane didn't switch sides faster than this. It was unbelievable. Like we were sitting here for like 2 weeks strong. Everybody's like, my God, Sony's really got to come around that crossplay. You even got Todd Howard comes out on stage at E3 and he's like, why won't one of these companies let us play our card game together, right? And it was like, oh my God, everyone's really grouping up against Sony. Then all of a sudden, somebody's like, well, you could play Fortnite for free over there. Changed just like that. I said, wow, everybody in the world that has changed their tune. Crap, you couldn't have nailed that anymore. Like now Microsoft's the bad guy again. But that didn't last long, right? Holy shit. Yeah. That is unbelievable.
I am going to say this. I want to say this, Mooch. Okay, what you're saying about the free to play should be the free to play on Xbox. Yes. I hear what you're saying, but you also got to remember this. I don't know if it's in the infrastructure to do that. Right. Where in order to play online, the way it's set up is you just have to you pay and you play. That's just the way that we've been doing it since the Xbox Live came into fruition, if you will. But I am going to say this: their servers are, you pay, and I don't care about paying. I haven't paid a full $60 for my year of Xbox Live in 10 years. I go on Black Friday, I buy 2 of them for $60. That's $30 a year, and I put them in, and I'm good for 2 years. That's what I always do. So again, I'm not mooching, but I'm cutting corners. Right.
Well, I'll certainly be looking for that in my stocking this year from Boomstick. I'll tell you that much. But go ahead. Boom. I think we get the point.
But here's the thing: Nintendo's so-called $20 a year thing got hacked in one day. Okay, that's a story for another podcast because no one really cares about Nintendo. I do, but most of the audience doesn't, and that's fine. And then Sony, listen, I'm sorry to say, and this is not a dig because I have all the Sony products and I really have all of the Sony products. Their PSN sucks. I'm sorry. It's just a poor service. So yeah, sure. They're going to give something away. Yeah, play Fortnite for free. Come over here. Our service sucks. It's always down. It's always something. So look, again, this isn't a Microsoft versus, a Sony versus Nintendo. Should it be free? I guess. But do I care about paying? Not really. Not to have secure servers, not to have my credit card not taken and used in someone else's country. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a tricky subject. Go ahead, whoever's going to chime in.
Well, I was just going to say, you know what? Look, I think free should be free. If it's free on Nintendo, it's free on PlayStation. It should be free on the Xbox. I mean, if they can do free play weekends every blue moon like they're doing now with various games, how hard can it be to implement a free to play if the game itself, you should be, if you just got a silver membership, you should be able to go and play those games. It's like, I don't see the big deal in it. It would entice more players to be on your platform. And again, it's one less knocking point against your own platform. Like Crap said, you got to clean up your own backyard first. Look, and if I had my way and I was running Microsoft right now, what I would personally do is, look, I would have multiplayer free for everybody, period. Okay, what I would do is I'd let all the entry-level silver members, you can play multiplayer. You can play whatever you want multiplayer for free. But here's the deal. You won't get the party chats. You won't get the deals. You won't get the free games. What I would do is I would make Xbox Live Gold even better. I would make it very enticing not to want gold, but I would let everybody have free access to play those games online with a silver right out of the box. And I think then you would almost, I'm sure there's going to be lots of cheapskates that'll go over and just play multiplayer. But if that's their thing, that's their thing. But for me, I love party chat. I love all the features that come with it. Hey, you go play the thing. Well, guess what? If you're on silver, you don't get the dedicated servers. You take what you get. When you were getting something for free, you can't expect the best. But make Xbox Live Gold fucking too good to refuse and let all the entry level players go with silver. That's the way I would do it. But that's just me.
Right. Yeah. What do you guys think? Crap.
The main problem is that I think that Microsoft is all about bringing down walls, except for the walls of their most loyal customers, which is the console consumers, right? Their PC doesn't have to pay to play. They get all the same perks that we do, and then some. Then you have us console schlubs who, they're forcing the crossplay on stuff like Sea of Thieves. It really ruins the experience for a lot of people with the cheating. That's a problem. It is bad. Like, the free-to-play stuff, I know they're probably making a shit ton of money because Fortnite's hot. At the end of the day, that's super anti-consumer, and you can't really talk about Sony and crossplay and cross-progression while you're doing that.
Right.
And the fact that they're so quiet on that is very telling. As far as I've seen lately, their people on Twitter aren't talking about much. They're as quiet as I've ever seen them, and I realize that they're busy creating content. But I thought it would have been nice to get a secondary show this year. Talk about why not just confirm that they're not going to do an Elite 2 now, right? Like I don't see like that stuff leaked. We knew that they were working on that. We knew they were working on where's the avatars. Give us some updates on some stuff. I think that would be beneficial. You know what I mean? Like what they're kind of falling off the map completely. And once a year stuff at E3 gets kind of old. You're
really hitting a lot of great topics here, Crap. Because to be honest with you, I know that the easy answer is they're waiting for next generation. You are losing customers left and right while you're waiting for next gen to get here. It's literally waiting too long. They are so silent. These inside, I know everyone's, and Crap, you made a point to say this. So, and I like where you took your stance. You said, listen, if you don't like Inside Xbox, don't watch it. But the problem is that that's the only news feed you're getting from them. And it's horrendous. And that's the one thing I just don't get. I don't get it. And if I'm Microsoft right now, I'd be like, you know what? I'll ante up. It's like when someone calls you out in a game of poker, you're like, all right, I'll ante up. I want to see your cards too. If Sony's going to come out and say that about the being free for the free games, then leave that paywall, drop that paywall. You're still going to make a ton of money. It's not like you're letting free multiplayer reign free. It's not, Rand, what do you think?
Well, really quickly, breaking news for you, Mooch.
Go ahead, buddy.
Because we talked about the Telltale stuff.
Yes.
Walking Dead final season's been canceled. So only the first episode. And the skeleton crew of 25 people that are left are working on Minecraft story mode for Netflix. So that's what they're there for. Wow. And once they're finished with that, studio closes. But yeah, only one episode of the final season. I just saw that on my Twitter. So that's pretty unfortunate. Now, you
had to pay up front for that, though, Rand.
I paid up front for that, man. I paid my money for it.
I did too.
Yeah, I got one episode out of it, and I don't get to see how the story ends. It's pretty.
Do you get a refund for that, or you just lose?
I don't know. I
think you just maybe you can get a refund from. I don't know, but that's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this whole like Fortnite free-to-play thing sounds a lot like to me during the 360 when Microsoft locked Netflix behind gold.
Yes.
When PlayStation and Nintendo had it for free. Yeah. And it makes Microsoft look incredibly bad. Yeah. Especially when they're trying out the other side of their mouth to do really good stuff. Like cross progression, cross play, really good pro consumer stuff. Backwards compatibility for free, excellent. Pro consumer, charging people to play free to play games, so makes it not so free. It kind of torpedoes the whole thing, in my opinion. It does, you know. So I don't know why they don't do it. I've had discussions with people at Xbox about it. You know, and it's
now when you talk to them, Rand, do they clam up about it, or try to push the question off to something else?
It's always business things. You know,
it's PR speak.
Fortnite does use Xbox Live services and things like that. So it requires Xbox Live upkeep and whatever. I keep on just saying it's like, it's bad PR. But then again, I don't have all the specifics. Are people really choosing Fortnite to play on PlayStation versus Xbox because of the paywall? I mean, I don't really know the data points. I can't really say. All I know from a PR standpoint, it looks really bad. And it's an easy jab that, Sony and Nintendo, for Christ's sake, is letting people play Fortnite.
That's shocking.
That's the kick in the pants right there. Once you saw Nintendo do it, don't get me wrong, Nintendo's got a lot of, everyone says this all the time, there's no secret here. They have a lot of cash, right? But really, when it comes down to it, they don't really have a lot of cash compared to Microsoft. It's kind of goes back to what you said, Randy. When you get that rich uncle or rich aunt in your family, they're loaded, right? They show up to the house in the Mercedes. Everything's looking great for them. They got rings on every finger. And all of a sudden, they're the one that comes empty-handed and eats all the food. You know what I mean? You're like, come on, man. I know you're doing well. My whole thing about it is that you've got, rich Uncle Phil, and these guys can do, I understand everything that they told you, Rand, in that PR talk. I actually do believe them. A lot of that money goes into that. But that same exact money they're talking about that goes into everything that supplies and helps Fortnite run so great is what it does on PlayStation and Nintendo. So they're doing it, and they're nowhere near as wealthy as Microsoft. So it doesn't really hold water. It doesn't really hold water. And backwards compatibility is free in air quotes. But realistically, crap will tell you, Modern Warfare 2 spiked up to number 8 on the sales charts on Amazon, meaning basically they're all making money again. So yes, it's free, but it's not really free. It's like it's the same but different, but still the same. You know what I mean? It's the way it is. It's so when people say free, the same thing when people kind of clamp down on you. I can't stand when people on Twitter are like, oh, don't complain about the games with gold. They're free.
They're not free.
They're not free.
You pay for them.
Yes.
You pay for them.
Does it help to complain all the time? No. But realistically, I'm just saying, if you are a consumer and you get upset, I saw somebody at McDonald's the other day, they were pissed. Half their fries were cold. I don't know why, but they were cold. He's pissed.
That was probably me.
It might have been you clowns.
I mean,
did you make a trip?
Right. I mean, you pay for it. If your fries are cold, why wouldn't you be upset?
Exactly.
If my fries were cold, I probably wouldn't say something because I don't like
hot fries or cold fries. They're not healthy for you, but guess what? I'll take the hot ones. Okay, so the point of the matter, same thing with the game. Give me something halfway decent. But I mean, realistically, this really is egg on the face for Microsoft. And let's get into this. I kind of want to segue into this, guys. And we can go back and forth. This is all connected. Nintendo announces they're online. And I think, we were talking about it on Xbox Nation.
Hacked.
It did get hacked. Not that that's surprising by anybody's means. I mean, it's Nintendo. I'm picturing 3 guys working on it. Right? You know what I mean? And they have no problem with you calling them by their last name. They don't even care.
Luigi, Mario, and Yoshi out to put it back online.
Yeah, it's Luigi, Mario, and Zelda. How the hell did they get those names for the guys in IT? But listen, I think that $20 for the year.
Hey, what's our qualification for getting hired here? You got to have those names. Oh, okay.
Where you hired on a big mustache
across the board.
I mean, $20 for the year, guys. And the games you were listing off, they're not bad.
No, they're really good, actually.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I'm tempted. Literally, I feel like I'm turning a $20 bill into a paper airplane and just throwing it at somebody.
Well, you need it. You need to have it to get those NES controllers.
No, I'm assuming you're getting those, right?
Oh, I already pre-ordered those.
Nice. No, you did. Okay, yeah.
You did, crap?
Yeah, the day, dude. I don't even know if they're available anymore.
The controllers.
Yeah, dude,
Nice.
they went up.
Good for you. I didn't know you got them. I saw you. I saw you mention them, but
yeah, they went up for pre-order the other night. Boom! I paid my money to become a subscriber to their shitty network.
So how much was it? Crap, let the audience know for the whole kit and caboodle, the 20 plus.
$20, and then they were $59.99 for the controllers.
Now, did you have to pay right now, or that was just a pre-order?
I didn't even check, so it could have just been the whole thing, but it doesn't matter to me either way. But yeah, I didn't check, so I don't know. You know, some places are weird. You know, you pre-order stuff, they take it all out. Some places are like,
how do those controllers work though? Because the Joy-Cons have many more buttons on them. That's
all they work was with the 8-bit games. That's
the NES games. Yeah,
got it.
I know why they're called Joy-Cons, because Nintendo is basically giving it to you up the ass with those prices.
Well, the Joy-Con, dude, 59 isn't nothing. I think the Joy-Cons are 79 if you want to buy them.
Yeah, they're $80 for a pair of Joy-Cons, but to be honest with you, $60 for those controllers that only work with the 8-bit games. I got to be honest with you. Like normally, years ago, I would have jumped on and probably bought 2 pairs of them. I think you're only allowed 1, but I would try to find a way to get a second one. Now, I wouldn't waste $60 on that because honestly, are you going to sit there in front of your Switch playing these 8-bit games? Probably not.
Well,
if I do, then I'll play them with that. You know what I mean? Like that's of course. They're going to be highly collectible too.
This is from the company that charges you like $80-$90 Canadian for a cardboard box contraption. Okay.
This is so true, but I don't think that's going to do well. But I mean, Crap, he makes a point, and I mean, nostalgia is a hell of a drug if you haven't heard that phrase before. Yeah. I mean, this is realistically a huge case of nostalgia coming through. I think a lot of times we all do this, and I think a lot of you guys understand. I say it a lot on Crossfire. I think whether we're talking about back compat, we're talking about these novel, old school controllers, or you're even looking at the games that they're offering on the Nintendo system there for the $20. They're all older games. And, we all sit there and go, come on, Mooch, those are great. I remember being 8 years old, sitting there in front of the TV, getting lost in that game. And it was like, yeah, we all remember that. And that was great back then. But right now, and we're going to segue into it in a minute, you've got games like the great new Tomb Raider that just came out that people can't stop talking about. And I just can't see anybody putting more than 45 minutes into their nostalgia before they go, oh, shit, that's right. I've got something where it actually looks like I'm controlling real-life people on another box.
Well, me and Mooch are going to be playing multiplayer Super Mario 3 over Tomb Raider.
Super Mario 3, but that is correct. All right, let's get that straight now.
I like that.
And listen, it's funny. The 2 games we're going to talk about going into next, everybody on the panel can talk about it except me. So if you're tired of Mooch, you're probably going to get a break for a minute. I have yet to play Tomb Raider, and I have yet to play Forza 4, but hear me out. Tomb Raider, okay? Now, I'm going to go to Rand because, Rand, you did put out your review, I believe, on Tomb Raider.
Yes.
Indeed, I did.
Now, I listened to it. Now, hear me out. What you actually thought was a minus, I kind of liked, but I want to hear you describe it, and I'll chime in later. What were your general consensus about the game?
Best looking game on the X. Playing it in 60 frames. I don't know why anybody
that surprised me. I'm really
don't know why anybody would choose to play it in 4K.
But that's I'm gonna play it 4K.
Well, you're doing it wrong. And also, if you play Forza Horizon 4 in 4K over 60 frames, you're doing it wrong as well.
Wow.
Okay.
Like I'm at school.
Best looking game on the X.
I'm taking notes.
Stealth is much improved. A lot of new stealth mechanics. Unfortunately, they don't really let you use stealth very much. There's not a lot of combat in the game at all. Mm-hmm. A much more focus on exploration and puzzle solving. Like the challenge tombs are maybe some of the best side content in any game. They're all really good to do. And even the crypts are like mini challenge tombs. Those are really good to do as well. But for me, I found that the pacing suffered a lot from the fact that the combat sections were few and far between. And considering the game gives you all these great stealth mechanics, like covering yourself in mud and hanging on the wall and climbing up trees and, hanging people from that and all these cool stealth things that you can do if you level up your tree, you don't really get a chance to use it. You don't really get a chance to do it. So there's sections of the game where you'll just be walking around and kind of looking and exploring for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And you kind of lose track of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for the story. I felt I felt the story could have been great. I could have been one of the best Tomb Raider stories, because in the very beginning, you cause something, and the whole kind of thing at the beginning is like Laura's at fault for all this, right? And I thought they would explore like how that would affect her and Jonah and her psyche, but like it's completely thrown out the window. It's like a different writer wrote the beginning of the game and a different writer wrote the rest of the game. And it completely changes to a generic, I'm not going to say what, but just a generic plot that you've seen in other games. And I, because of that, I didn't care for anybody else besides Laura and Jonah. I didn't care for anybody.
Now, I didn't play Rand, and me and Crap had a heck of a debate on Xbox Nation, and I didn't play Shadow yet. My biggest issue with the Tomb Raider series has always been the story. I think the story's always been lacking. That's a me problem, apparently. But I'm very interested to hear that. The other thing that you said that really, I've watched a few of the reviews, all non-spoilers, and they said that there was some really cool guns you get. And then the person, after they said how awesome the gun was, they're like, unfortunately, there's so little action in it, I didn't even use my favorite gun when I acquired it. So that's news to me, because I will tell you this much. Here's where I said I kind of went astray from your review, and I haven't played. So you go, well, Mooch, that's great that you don't agree with me, but you got to play it first. I actually like the fact that it's more tombs and puzzles and quote unquote story, because sometimes I felt that the fighting mechanic, same thing I feel sometimes with the fighting mechanic, even in Uncharted, feels a little wonky in the Tomb Raider games. So when you said it was 80-20 or something like that, I can't remember the percentage of what you said as far as the differential there, I was okay with the fact. But now I'm hearing from a lot of people that love to play video games saying that they would have liked a little bit more combat.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, I like the exploration, because I played it on hard, like the hard exploration setting.
Yeah.
So like you actually have to explore and observe your surroundings to find the critical path, because that white marking
is not there.
So you actually kind of feel like Laura, like and you can even turn the puzzles to hard, and she won't give you any hints, and things won't light up in survival instincts. So it's actually like you're solving it without any help, and that's really cool. It's just, I just wanted a little bit more combat. I'm not saying I wanted 50-50 combat like Rise of the Tomb Raider was, right?
Right.
But I just wanted a bit more. I just wanted more opportunities to use all those stealth things that you give me that I can't use because there just isn't enough counters. You know what I mean? Like, right. And plus, I wasn't a fan of the big social spaces. I don't know. Maybe Crap can speak to that more.
That's what I was going to ask.
They built these like big social spaces where you can walk around and talk to people,
pet llamas and stuff.
Yeah, pet llamas. But I felt they were worthless. I like, it's impressive, but like the side quests those people offer are just as bad, if not worse, than the side quests in Spider-Man, right? Like,
I lost my leg.
My leg hurts.
And the voice acting from the natives is god awful. So I didn't really want to talk to anybody. It just looked good. I was just like, man, if you would have like focused on
like, Chief. Hey, Chief.
Crap. What's your take on it? Because you're pretty far along. I know Noose playing it too, but
I love it. I do. Like, I don't do a bunch of the sci-fi, so that stuff doesn't really appeal to me anyway. But I did think it was cool and was a little change of pace to have some of those areas where you could just go through the villages. And, I did one side quest, I think, because you get 50 gamer score for that. So I was all over that. You know what I mean? But
wait. You mean the side quest where you go find the kid's dice? Oh, riveting stuff, right?
No, the only side quest I did was I rescued the people or whatever, that kid, or like his dad's like, you're looking for a job or whatever, and then you go and you're like, well, I'll go help him out, and then you free the kid, and then the rest of the villagers that they're there, and then you get 50 gamer score, and I think 25 for doing that mission.
Because I do recall you guys making fun of Horizon Zero Dawn's side mission of like getting someone's leg, right?
Yeah, well, he has a bum leg, so he wants you to get a spear,
right? And this kid lost the pair of dice to somebody. He wants you to get his dice. They're just as awful.
Yeah. I literally just got there, Rand, tonight.
Yeah, so but for me, I love the game. I think that it's I like the story. I like what they've done with their character. I think it looks great. I am playing at 4K, by the way, Rand. So
I knew you would. You love 4K. You don't care.
I'm a 4K
Explain this to me, please.
Yeah.
Why do you like 4K over 60 frames?
Well, here's the thing. I put it on both, and since I have the, you know, and you do too, but I have a 4K HDR TV, so I'm playing on that, and the downgrade from 4K to 1080p is incredibly noticeable for me.
But 1080p makes you a better gamer.
Well, that was in the past. That was in the past. Now with
make you an esports gamer then?
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, here's the thing. I'll probably play Forza Horizon 4 since it's a racing game at 60 frames. But when I played the demo at 60 frames, it looked like a, you know, early gen Xbox One game. You know, it doesn't look nearly as impressive to me. So, you know, that I struggle with that. So I'm a kind of a 4K HDR snob. Like, I played Tomb Raider. I didn't have any problems with the frame rate, and I'm almost right at the end. And it just absolutely looks stunning. I didn't think it looked very good at all in the 1080p 60 frames mode. Just like Gears 4, right? You play that campaign once they updated it. 4K, man.
60, baby.
It looks like, oh, horrible. Looked like a 360 game. Looked bad. I can't do it.
So, Rand, let me ask you a question real quick for someone like me who hasn't played Shadow yet. Okay, is when I switched over and I was redoing Rise of the Tomb Raider, I played it in the 1080p 60. I thought it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, don't do it.
Is the 1080p 60 in Shadow a much better representation?
I mean, I didn't go back and play Rise of the Tomb Raider for the X, so I wouldn't know.
Okay.
But like I said, if the option there, and I have a 4K TV,
right?
If the option is there for me to do performance mode at 60 frames and quality mode in 4K, I'm choosing performance mode every single time.
Wow.
Because nothing beats the extra frame rate. Nothing.
The frame rate versus resolution debate is more heated than the I keep my Xbox vertical or horizontal.
I keep mine vertical. Who does that?
Please, Rand.
Horizontal.
Please, Rand. I never go back and edit any of these. I'm going to edit that little part.
Why?
Out.
I don't put a disc in the system. Every single game is digital. What does it matter? It's vertical.
The only thing that sticks straight up on my house is between my legs. My console.
Great little segue there, by the way, Noof, too. I mean, realistically, I think that this game it's also being looked at in the community as an Xbox exclusive for some reason, because
they are like, just because people, here's the thing, right? Xbox, like PlayStation dudes, as far as I can tell, are upset because this game come out. It's a quality title. Xbox fans are excited about it, and it takes some of the shine off Spider-Man and the whole narrative. You have nothing to play because we, in fact, if you only had an Xbox, have something to play. Right. A high quality game to play. So, you know, it takes a little bit of that shine off of it. They get upset about that. And then that's basically what happens. You know,
yep, I think
it's not an Xbox exclusive. Like, if I encourage people to play the game, however they can play it. It's good.
I love it.
You know, play the damn game. Enjoy it. Shit.
What do you guys now? Boom. What do you think? You said you're up to wherever that point is with the bum leg.
Yeah, no, I just got to the village with the kid with the lost dice. I'm going to say this. I'm like crap. I play in 4K mode. I have the 4K TV with the HDR. I just really, that's why I got the 4K TV. I can't go back to the 1080 60 on anything.
Let me stop you. But also, is that also like the 4K TV also does 60 hertz? Why not use the 60 hertz?
I mean, you are correct, but I just I never thought of it like that. I mean, you're taking me to school here.
Both. Yeah, 4K and 60 hertz. The TV does both.
It does. It definitely does.
If it was a game that ran clunky or whatever, like Tomb Raider just has such a smooth frame rate either way. Like for me personally, I went with the looks.
Yes, I'm right there with you. But I'm gonna say this. I agree with Rand on this. I think it's the best looking Xbox One X title. I'm loving it, and I'm kind of like in the middle with the fight, you know, fighting and exploring. I'm gonna be honest with you, Mooch. If you enjoy exploring, I really think you're gonna dig this, and that's why I'm
excited to play it. I'm really in the mood to do that.
Yeah, because I find myself, you know, of course, I try to stealth kill everyone. I very rarely use the machine gun unless I'm fighting animals. Like you walk into a wolf's den, I'm not stealthing anyone. I'm shooting, you know, until I'm out of bullets.
Well, the reason I say that, I'm really got the feeling to do the adventure and
yes, it's very adventure-ish, if you will. I like exploring. I like finding the treasures. I actually like, you know, hitting the back button to read about and hear her talk about the artifacts that you find. I think this is,
you know what happens. Tell me if you guys did this during Rise of the Tomb Raider, but after you get to about halfway through the game and you find the collectibles where, like, you know, it's a recorder or it's like a 10-page thing where somebody's voice reading. That was when I got up to get a snack. I was like, all right, great. I'll let that run its course. No, realistically though, I'm looking forward to getting into that though, Boom, the way you're talking about it, because right now I'm trying to pull a Rand and I'm trying to platinum Spider-Man.
I'm 5 away.
I'm fighting every boss.
God bless you.
Oh crap! Let me tell you.
God bless us.
Well, you know,
everyone.
God bless you, everyone. It's like the Arkham games, right? So it's a lot of that.
I never completed that shit either, man. Screw that.
No, I didn't. I definitely didn't complete that. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it, but I'm damn trying.
Let me go through some dirty clouds and collect some bullshit. Let me go through the main story is like 10 hours long. Let's go let's stealth play as Mary Jane for fucking ever and make it difficult. Let's stealth as Miles Morales because everybody needs to play as
Miles Davis.
Like, they put so much bullshit in that and then get a free pass on everything.
Yeah.
Solid Spider-Man game, not fucking great like everybody said it was. A lot of bullshit, a lot of time-killing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just hey, busy work. Go do this. Hey, let's copy Arkham. Let's put the snipers in there with the red bullets. Let's put let's put guys in there with shock sticks. Let's put guys in there with shields. Everybody looks the same. Like if they do a sequel, clean that up because Arkham did it in the second game. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
How many trophies you're away from the platinum, Mooch?
I haven't counted. I told crap. I'm doing a bad job of doing it because I just play the game. I'm not looking at the list. I don't even know.
There's no way to really tell, but based on how crazy I played it, I want to say I put like 55 hours into it doing everything. I 100% did everything. The only thing I'm missing is getting gold on every challenge. Otherwise,
is that a trophy?
God bless you.
Is it a trophy? If you do it, you unlock one of the outfits, and there's a trophy for unlocking all of the outfits.
Oh, so all the track, the track master, you have to get gold on all those?
Yeah, I think you do.
I was satisfied with silver. I was like, I'll get to silver. I got to move on.
Yeah, I 100%ed the whole game, dude. Other than that.
See, that kind of stuff there, man, that reminds me of like Trials Fusion. You know, when you have to do the timing thing over and over again, and there's no bar. I wish they would tell you, like, finish it with 60 seconds left and you get gold. It's like, give me something to look at the clock and aim for. Otherwise, I'm just running around guessing. So that is annoying as hell. And crap, you know what? Your opinion on that is pretty spot on. I mean, I'm enjoying the game. I'm having #fun with it. But realistically, especially when you're trying to get everything in the game, man, I mean, the word repetitious doesn't even do it justice. What do you think, Rand? Did you platinum Spider-Man?
I couldn't be bothered to 100% all the districts, and I don't care about trophies.
Okay.
If it was on Xbox, I would have gotten the completion. Right.
Understood.
Like I'm replaying Shadow of the Tomb Raider on Deadly Obsession to get my last 2 achievements.
Okay.
Because I want the completion on Xbox. Trophies don't matter to me at all on PlayStation, and quite frankly, Spider-Man isn't as good as God of War. God of War was a game I wanted to platinum because of how amazing that game was.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is a game I've played 15 times before.
Yeah.
Not saying that's a negative like crap would say, as I do enjoy the Batman games, but it is very similar to other Spider-Man games and Batman games, and I've done all that stuff, and I just don't care about trophies. But if I cared about trophies, I would get the completion.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I mean, Noof, you're playing. I see you online now. You're enjoying the same console I have. So what's your take on swinging around for hours?
Well, I mean, I do kind of agree with what Crap is saying. I'm not going to take away from. There are some very monotonous missions in that again, and it definitely borrows from a lot of other games that come before it. There is a lot of similarities to Batman, the Arkham Knight games and stuff. There's no question. But I will say that the combat is much more fluid, and definitely, you feel way more powerful as Spider-Man. Like and it just, of course, the actual motion capture, the voice acting and stuff, the comedian, a lot of the little one-liners he has, the graphics are nice and fluid, going through the city and stuff like that. Swinging is very, aesthetically pleasing. They realized New York very well. I've never been to New York, but hell, man, like if that's what New York is, I definitely want to swing there myself. It
looks more like it from when you're swinging around and from the top views than it does when you hit the ground. Right, Boom? Would you agree with that?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to say that when you're going through like the Upper West Side. It's crazy.
Times Square, I thought they nailed really well, especially when you're swinging through it. Looks great.
Yes, it does look absolutely spot on, fantastic.
Yes,
but I mean, it is a very solid game. I can't take anything away from it. It's one of the better games, definitely the best Spider-Man game I think we've ever gotten, yes. And and it's probably one of the best games this year. Right now as it stands, I'm still going to say that God of War is probably my game of the year. As it stands, Tomb Raider's given it a solid push, but I'm not done with Tomb Raider yet, so we'll give it some time on that. But yeah, Spider-Man's good, Mooch, and I got to say, it took the Spider-Man Swingers Club to bring you around, but you have been playing that shit nonstop. I've noticed.
Yeah, no, well, I'm trying to get everything, and believe me, if you're trying to get everything, you got to keep playing that game. Hood's News Media, he says God of War. He thought Spider-Man was better than God of War, and I said, Hood, I just can't see that. He said God of War starts the best, but there's only that one boss you fight the whole time. Here's the thing. To be honest with you, I think it goes back to the throwable axe, to be honest with you. But that throwable axe, it was a great...
everything else. I mean, come on.
Right? Exactly. I mean, that really did... when you say a game is truly great, it's truly great when you have something that you just haven't been able to experience in a game before. And we've all played so many of these games. And I think that's why no one will ever say, Shadow of the Tomb Raider was like it was jaw-dropping. Maybe it was visuals, but it's the same game you played the last couple times. But God of War changed things with that axe, that mechanic. That was different, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Spider-Man, the swinging is more fluid. It's more fluid, but it's not any, like Rand said, it's not any different than the last 15
Well,
games.
I mean, that's true. I agree with Noof. It is by far the best Spider-Man game ever made. And, and it's Insomniac's best game they've ever made.
Agreed.
I gave it a 9 out of 10 in my review because I thoroughly enjoyed everything about the title, even the repetitive side missions, which I stopped doing towards the end. But I was so into the game over the weekend that I'm like, maybe I was a little bit kinder to it because it was their first attempt at Spider-Man. With Batman Arkham Asylum, you kind of oh, it's good, it's Rocksteady's first step, but then they upped it for Batman Arkham City. So I think Spider-Man 2 is going to be fantastic whenever that comes out on PlayStation 5, probably 2021, 2022.
Right.
The game's not perfect, and it does have its issues.
Yes, it does.
When people say, you're damage controlling, it's well, no, the game's not flawless by any stretch of the imagination. There are issues. I hated the stealth sections, Crap did. I can't stand sections in any game where if you fail, it's start over. I hate that.
Yep. Go back to
that.
Well, even the part, when you jump on the cars and you take the guys out, that's ripped straight out of Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's almost identical. It's crazy.
Pigeons, come on.
Yeah. The running around chasing the pigeons.
The busy work is kind of annoying because the main story is short. I beat it in 12 hours. So
yeah.
Just goes to show you.
That game does look really good though. My God, on the PS4 Pro. Game, and it controls well too.
It does.
Combat's a little slightly different. It's more open than Batman's. The one issue I did have with combat was you have all these cool gadgets, right? But while you're in the combat, there's no way to quickly use one.
Yeah.
In Batman, you had
you
had bindings. You could press right bumper and B, and you do the explosive gel, or double tap left trigger and you do the grapple. And there'd be a thing for the ice grenade. It was so easy to actually fight 20 people.
To hit the left bumper and have to pick the wheel, and then you only have 3 or 4 of those things, and you shoot them out real quick. Then you got to quickly go back to another one.
That was my biggest complaint about the combat was because of that. Because it was a little bit more open and you could, obviously built the Spider-Man strength of swinging around and getting out of there and dodging and stuff, so that it had to do that. I felt like I only used a couple of them. And I wanted to be able to use them in combat more, but it was just awkward to try to do that. I wanted to be all right, I'm going to use the electric web, and boom, here comes the, the concussion web thing, and to the web grenade, but it was just difficult switching to it. Hopefully they refine that for the next game.
That's a good point. New Game Plus is due out, I believe, within a week or so, right? They said it would come out before. I heard it would be a week or something like that, or 10 days, because they said it was going to come before the DLC, if I read the article right, but maybe I read it wrong. I hope that does come out, because a lot of people are looking to go back into it with the, the saved criteria that they've earned. They want to go back in and maybe accomplish the things that they didn't do.
Not me.
Not crap though. Let me just pay the bills. Just so Boujou Ram doesn't think I forgot him. I did copy and paste it, so I have it here. I pulled the trigger on the Pokemon Switch bundle and actually really excited to play Pokemon again. And this is coming from a 26-year-old man. Listen, Boujou, you do you, okay, buddy? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All right? I won't be joining you there, but I got news for you. You're completely okay in my house. All right, listen. I have Rand here, and Rand has been known, okay? If you guys don't have him on your friends list, check him out. And if you don't know where to find him, it's called where PUBG is. So he's been playing PUBG. He's got about 1,000 hours into it. And listen, Rand, here's the thing. I put about 100 hours into it the first 2 months, month and a half that it came onto Xbox in the preview program. And now they're saying they're going to have a bit of a downgrade in the visuals to up your performance. I know that, what is it there? Warframe or whatever the war mode came out, and people are saying it's great. But I'm saying this, and I know, Rand, you're probably not going to agree with me, but I'm hoping you will. I'm saying once Blackout comes out, I know that the first time in ages it's dipped below the 1 million mark online for active users. It's going to dip way lower real soon. What's your take on what you think maybe Blackout's eventual, like, you know, what it's going to do to PUBG, what it's going to do to its lifeline?
I mean, Blackout's going to take some of its audience for sure. I mean, it's a well put together battle royale mode that actually runs at 60 frames and it has pretty good visuals.
Will Randall Thor will he be at Blackout?
Probably, because there ain't anything coming out in October that's really worth a damn until Red Dead Redemption at the end of October. Now,
Forza Horizon.
Well, I'm currently playing Forza. I'm 15 hours into Forza Horizon 4 right now, so
he'll probably be tired of it by the 10th of October.
Probably a week from now, I'll be 70 hours deep.
The racing game of our existence.
That's correct. It's the reason that a rectangular pedal was invented. Listen,
it is.
I think that
was born to be a racing game.
You guys don't realize though, crap. We just heard. Okay, this is YouTube news. Because Rand, aren't you You're a big fan of saying you're not going to play Call of Duty games. That's just not your wheelhouse.
I played them. I played all of them except for 3 because I like the campaigns. That's what I've always enjoyed about Call of Duty. And this one really pissed me off because they didn't do the campaign. Right. But there is this great thing on Xbox called Xbox Game Share or Game Share, where you can, you know, partner up with somebody. And I bought Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And it's his turn to buy the next game, and he really wants Call of Duty Black Ops 4, so I'll have Call of Duty Black Ops 4. You know, it's like, I'm the crap gamer, he's the Hellhammer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's a 90.
That's a 90.
That's like a 90-10 split there.
It's about a 99 one thing there. Like I was like, I'm not buying Call of Duty. He's like, well, I want it. I'm like, well, buy it.
Sounds like you're game sharing with Mooch. Go ahead.
You know who's got all the people is what, 38.7 million people on Fortnite or some shit. That is insane. That's who's sucking in. And you know what? I've never seen anything like this in a long time where, like, I'm at work and I'm actually talking to, like, you know, some of the kids that come into work, you know, to buy sporting gear and stuff, and they're all like fucking talking about Fortnite, like, you know, like all ages. There's grown men playing this shit. There's fucking kids playing Fortnite. Yep. Like I've never seen anything like it. That's that much of a phenomenon in such a long time. Like it really is crazy how that game is like swept.
Dude, I mean, listen,
the fucking nation.
Everybody
getting divorces over it apparently.
I'll tell you right now, to be really honest with you, I think that you've got everybody on this panel right now that either like Senora Bombastic, who buys everything, crap that buys everything, whether we get codes, no matter what the issue is, we get a lot of games. It's a blessing, and thank you to everybody for that. But realistically, what I'm saying is,
it's a curse.
My kid, but my son, after I said to him, I'm like, hey, and don't get me wrong, he's actually very interested in Blackout. It's the first game that he's willing to leave Fortnite for. But they love Fortnite. He's like, you know, he goes, I heard you saying, like, you know, maybe Blackout's going to take over for Fortnite. And he's like, I don't think so, Dad. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, that's just the sensation. And I really think the sensation stems from the fact that Fortnite's free, right? Well, I mean, that has a lot to do with it.
Well, yeah, Fortnite's free. It's very colorful. It's still very kiddie. And playing both Blackout and PUBG, they're very different. Like, PUBG is still a very more slower tactical experience, whereas Blackout is very fast-paced. It's like super arcade PUBG. It's Call of Duty just on a big map. I don't know. I mean, crap. Did you play it? The beta? I mean, I know
only got to
you
play
like
it a little
PUBG,
bit,
but
yeah, the thing is, I liked a little bit what I did, but I couldn't play with friends, so I don't know if I want to get it or not, right? Because they blacked that out, like you couldn't invite people or whatever. They're having problems, so I wanted to really try it with like Hellhammer and Grave and a couple of people, but it didn't work out. So I don't know. I'm hoping to mooch it.
Hoping to mooch it. Can you do that? Are you allowed to?
I'm throwing that out there, guys. If they want to hook me up, man, let me mooch some Blackout.
I mean,
give me a shout out.
Here's the thing. I know Mooch does the mooching thing, right? And if Mooch does mooch Call of Duty Black Ops 4, just give it to crap, Mooch, because you're just gonna be playing Destiny 2, the never was game.
That is so true.
He'll still be trying to collect bullshit on Spider-Man.
That's actually crap's probably 100% right, but Rand, you're a close second. Listen, here's the thing though, Rand. Destiny 2, I understand. Listen, this is not a sales pitch. I'm not going to sell it to you because you don't want it.
Give me the 30-second elevator pitch. Let's go.
Realistically, this Forsaken has got unbelievable amounts of content. It gets back to the grind, which if you don't like it, that's fine. There's a lot of games out right now, so it might not be for you. But when we go through our lull again, come February to June, there's going to be times that you're going to want to go back and play and get your character up and the community comes back together for DLC. It's something that's it's literally like feeding a plant, okay? You keep feeding it and it turns into a great, beautiful tree one day. Like it's actually something that becomes something. It's something. It's hard to explain to you.
Something.
So
Mooch,
something. No, yeah, go ahead.
How long, since we're talking about PUBG, and apparently it is fixed, even though I haven't played it, I'm busy with Forza.
Yeah.
Also was busy with Rise of the Tomb Raider and Spider-Man, so I haven't really played PUBG much.
Right.
Apparently, the hotfix did work. The game runs like the best it's ever run before on the X. No frame drops. At least that's what my friends tell me.
Yes.
But apparently it's coming to PlayStation pretty soon. It was rated in Korea for the PlayStation 4,
Yes. I think it's a day late and a dollar short. That's what they actually should have called the game.
There is TGS is going on right now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You think they announce it there? And what would be best for PUBG for PlayStation? Getting out before Call of Duty or coming out next year? Like, what do you do? You think so next year?
I think Call of Duty Blackout is going to. It's really going to cripple PUBG. I really think, guys, you have to stop and think about it for a minute. I think what you're going to have after the launch of this Call of Duty Black Ops 4 comes out, you're going to have Fortnite remain the king. You're going to have Blackout be a very close second, and then PUBG is going to go to a distant third. Because here's the thing, Rand. Here's what I say. You said it yourself when you were explaining Fortnite a second ago. You said it has that cartoony, that very vibrant color, and very, very arcadey feel to it.
Well, it's free.
And it's free. That free is always great, right? Coming from a Mooch. I hear you. But realistically, hear me out, guys. This Blackout Battle Royale hits the tactical part that scratches the itch that Rand loves in PUBG so much because it's not quite as fast as Fortnite, but it does have the speed that Fortnite brings to the game in the fact that you're not playing like some PUBG matches, especially if you're in the top 5. Those are long games. I mean, it's really long. The traditional one. I know there's faster ones now, but again, a day late and a dollar short. Thanks, PUBG, for coming out with it 5 days before Blackout comes out. This thing should have came out a long time ago, and they should have taken Microsoft's money and help when they didn't. They didn't. They were very, very stubborn. I think that PUBG is really going to become a thing of the past. We're like, hey, remember when we used to play PUBG before this came out? That's what I think. So I think it's moved the PlayStation is good for the game, but it's really ultimately not going to help it stop treading water.
Yeah, I just wonder if when it does come out for PlayStation, watch that thing be 60 frames on the Pro, right?
Oh, stop. I saw that on Twitter. That's hysterical.
Right, I don't understand. 60 frames.
How do people say that with a straight face?
Because for whatever reason, I don't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to just keep the game running at 4K on Xbox One X. PUBG does not need to be 4K native.
No, it doesn't.
Xbox One X. I don't know why when you're having all those troubles with frame rate, why not drop it down to 1440p? Why not drop it down to 1080? And the Pro's not going to be able to run it at native 4K. So they're probably already targeting 1080p. Watch that thing run at a higher frame rate on the Pro, and we'll all have a good laugh about it.
Well, you know what? It will be a good laugh because I said this on Xbox Nation and see if you guys agree with me on the panel. I said that my whole thing was Microsoft, when this came out, in the preview program, December, like it was a month after basically the X launched, and it was the whole 4K. We have better looking games than anybody else. They're doing basically what Sony did with 4K instead of 1080p. Rightfully so. rightfully so. So I think even though Microsoft's like, we never push anybody to do anything, I'm pretty sure they're like, hey, Bluehole, make this thing 4K. Because listen, all we keep saying is 4K, and we don't got shit in 4K on it. Make this thing 4K. You're right, though, Rand. What are we looking at? A 75-foot tree from 800,000 miles away? Who gives a shit if it's at 4K? I don't care if the bark looks realistic. Let's be realistic. 1080p 60, much, much better for that type of game, that tactical gameplay. So, I mean, I agree with you, Rand. What do you guys think on the panel? Anybody else have a PUBG?
I think they might not, because Sony relegates their frames per second according to their own documents. Right. So unless they can get that running 60 on the base PS4, no way are they going to have a 60 frame mode on the Pro either. I don't see that happening, because they are very stringent on that. So, yeah,
they just downgrade the visuals like H1Z1. H1Z1 runs at 60 on the Pro and 30 on the base, doesn't it?
I don't think so. They was supposed to run. It runs at a lower resolution on the base PS4 though.
Right, but it runs at a higher, because I played it and both of my buddies were on regular consoles and they were playing in 30, and on the Pro it runs at 60. I mean, I could be mistaken. I only played it for 2 matches because that game's trash.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But yeah, I don't.
Well, that's the thing with battle royales, and that's what I'm wondering, because if you remember, okay, so everybody was running with this for about 4 or 5 days. When H1Z1 did go on the PlayStation, like, we got our own PUBG, and it was like 10 million active users, but that was like for 7 days.
Here's the thing. It says that it's 60 frames PS4 as well as the Pro, but it sounds like it's hitting 60 frames more often on the Pro version, because I'm looking at the analysis right here. So it goes down to 954p on the PS4, and it can and I guess it's running at 1080p on the Pro. So on the Pro it's running 1080p 60. On the regular PS4, it's 954p and between 40 and 50 frames per second.
Okay.
So, I mean, they target, quote unquote, 60 on it.
Yeah,
so they
well,
didn't
that's
lock
PUBG.
it.
Yeah. Bluehole can target 60. They can be like, we're 35, we're over 30. It's targeting it. Right?
Well, Rand makes a fun point, because to be honest with you, Crap, we know this from the beginning of this generation, even last generation. Sony loves to just stick it to Microsoft. If they can
they do.
Say,
how about that PlayStation Classic, folks?
Oh, I was just gonna go there. How about that? I mean, realistically, they love to do that. And you know what's funny? It's funny because all the PlayStation fans are gonna say this right off the bat. The minute you argue with them, the first thing they say, I saw it all over Twitter for 2 days. I just enjoyed it. I sat back and read it. Didn't say anything to anybody. Like, well, you don't like it, whatever. It's gonna sell like hotcakes. Well, no one's disputing it's not gonna sell because it's nostalgic, right? We just sat here and said, Crap, who's put in about an hour and a half of Nintendo gameplay in the entire generation. Okay, he just spent $75 on controllers he's never going to use. So I mean, realistically,
hey, but to be fair, I spent. I think
I wasn't busting your chops. I bought it.
Yeah, I know. I bought that Duke. I bought that Duke as well, and I never used that shit either.
No, so. I mean, and listen, shout out to Seamus, because I think he's probably one of the coolest people on Twitter. Absolutely love the dude to death. But realistically, I'm not going to the Duke when we're paying $150 to have an Elite controller. Who wants to put that thing down to use those chiclet buttons? Get out of here. I can't do that. But, you know, it's nostalgic. You put it on the wall. You bring people into your little museum. You're like, I used this when I was 18. I used this when I was 8.
I just love that the meeting, right? They're like, okay, so the Nintendo Classic, the NES Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, you know, they've made tremendous amounts of money. We need something like that. What should we call it? PlayStation Classic? Sure. Let's just go ahead and like take the name directly, like not even try to hide it, just like
why would you?
Ridiculous amount. And you know what, to me, this thing is just, it really shines a light on how Sony is just like all out for Sony, and kind of, you know, with that whole you know, who wants to play old games, specifically talking about PS1 style games, right?
Yes.
Like that's what Jim Ryan was talking about. He saw Gran Turismo running on the PS1 and PS2 and was like, oh, that's ancient. Who wants to play this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now they're like, hey, you know, here you go.
Well, maybe nobody wants to play it, but he was like, maybe if we jam it into a box, somebody will buy it. Go ahead, Noob.
I said it before, Mooch. You know, the idea of owning these things is actually better than the principle of actually owning it. Because I mean, how many people do we know about the NES Classic? They bought the Super Nintendo Classic, and how many times has that actually been turned on?
Never.
Exactly. The same thing's going to happen with the PS1. Yeah, it's going to sell like hotcakes, right?
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I mean, it's got 20 games. I was watching a guy previewing it today, and you go back and you look at those games. I mean, a PS2 would make more sense because at least the games don't look as antique as the PS1. But man, like it's hard to go back to some of these generations now. Like the games have not aged really well. Some not so much. Like the fighting games are never so bad because you're on a 2D plane axis, basically going back and forth, kick and punch and all that stuff. But I mean, some of the other games are just atrocious. I mean, it's going to sell well. I'm certainly not going to buy it. I just don't see the point. I'll never play it anyway. But
listen,
I mean, it is what it is.
To add to your point, the other day, I said for the hell of it, I just kicked on the SNES Classic Mini that I have, and I played whatever Secrets of Mana. I just started playing it. I was like, let me just, because I know that the remake had come out on PlayStation 4. Which didn't do very well, but like I don't mean sales wise, but people were the reviews were kind of bummed that they didn't put a little more TLC into it. But I'm playing it and I'm sitting there and I put about maybe 45 minutes into it and I was like, this just proves my point. I had to prove myself right. And I said, I'm not playing this thing. I mean, yes, I have it. I think it's great. What's nice about these things is it's got the HDMI. So if you're a parent and you played these games and you want to introduce them to your kids, I thought it was cool. I sat there with my kids and I said, this is what we used to play when we were little, these types of games. And now you can play them. And it's funny. They actually were playing the games. They were like, that's neat. That's neat. Yeah. They were kind of humoring me. And then they're like, peace. I'm out of here. They had to go they're like, I'm going to go play Fortnite or Call of Duty or play anything else. Let me.
It's like that old Back to the Future. You a baby toy, right?
Baby toy.
I mean, no, you gotta pay some bills.
Nobody drank clown. Let me say what's up to him. He says, "Peace, love, life, guys. Just wanted to show love and say thank you. Give yourself a hand for making great quality content of gaming news. So thank you, and don't ever give up. # Major Love. You'll be Dredden. Thank you for your support. Awesome. Thanks to Stephen Rush and a couple of you guys too that had a couple of chats here. I got Stephen Rush right here. Mooch. Even Forza arcade version is much better. I think he was talking about when we were going back to the whole Fortnite discussion.
When's Nintendo bringing back the Power Glove so we can slap some people with it? Come on.
No, that is a great idea.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. I know, but I think that's something that is a big deal. I'm glad we talked about it. But
you know what else is funny about this NES thing is just the fact that there's a lot of egg on people's face that won't admit that there's egg on their face, right? Because they're all like, nobody wants to play old games. You're paying all this money just to play old games, even though we get like tons of new games like all the damn time. And then these people are willing to pay $400 for a pro and then another $100 to play only 20 old games, where you can play old games for free if you already have them on Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of ridiculous, So
Crap, I agree with you.
Double standard, man.
You make a hell of a point. I don't think necessarily, because I'll use myself as an example, okay? I kept some of the large title games from 360 for, at the time, I still have. I'm looking at a 360 that I still have in the home. It's not hooked up or anything. It's like on a shelf, like everybody else's collection of nostalgia that they do nothing with. It's on a shelf. But my point being is I kept a lot of the big titles. And then once backwards compatibility came about, I'm like, well, I'm glad I kept some of them. But I don't have a whole lot of 360 titles. I didn't keep a lot. So hear me out. So when people are always like, well, backwards compatible is great because it's free. Well, not really, especially when you're showing me that, number 8 on the depth chart last week or last month was Modern Warfare 2. It means a lot of people went out and bought it because a lot of people probably returned it. Or lost it or used it for shooting practice when they're like, pull.
Yeah, but it's still free if you have the option that you bought it, or if you and they sometimes give away backwards compatibility stuff. It's a completely different circumstance where you have to pay for a separate piece of hardware to play a game that realistically the PS4 should be able to be backwards compatible. It should be.
Especially with PS1 games. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, like PS1, PS2. I get PS3 because that was their own bad decisions.
Right.
But at the same time, I just think that you have the free option. A lot of people like myself, I've enjoyed going back here and there. I don't go back very often, but it's good to have that option. I do have a bunch of games. I've got a shit ton of 360 games. I got a shit ton of original Xbox games. It's cool to just mess around once in a while and have that option there, and not have the company go, nobody wants to play this,
right?
And then come sell me something to play it. Like that's
Well,
I
here's
think
something
the big
funny,
difference.
crap, and even though he says, shout out to Wow, I don't care in the super chat. He says, forget PS1 Classic. Where's the N64 with 007? Here's the thing, Wow, I don't care. You have no idea how much time I also sunk into that game. Like, we made that a drinking game. That was just fun as hell to play that game, right? But hear me out. Hear me out. There's no way an N64 Classic comes out, you come home, and you put down Blackout, you put down Fortnite, you put down Red Dead 2's living world of multiplayer, you put down Fallout 76 because you just can't wait to gather the old troops around the TV set and play 007. It doesn't matter what game is in your mind as far as the nostalgia goes, okay? Doesn't matter how far you take that memory back. You're not putting, like Noof said, like I gave you the example with Secrets of Mana, you're not going to play these games on end. It's something you'll have, you'll put on your shelf, you'll point to it when someone comes over and goes, hey, remember that? They're going to go, yeah, and then you're going to walk right by it. And that's pretty much where you're putting your $80 in the remember that closet. Oh, yeah, I remember that. And you're moving on. If that's what you like, if you have a room in your house dedicated to old games, guess what? I say go buy it. Go buy it. This is for you. This is legitimately for you and your museum you've created. But for a lot of people, it's not, and it's just a memory we kind of all forgot about with the 8 pixels. It's just not something I remember going and putting hours into. Go ahead.
But I just want to remind people, like don't give PlayStation guys who are excited for this too much grief, because the fact of the matter is, I can see a lot of Xbox guys that if Xbox came out tomorrow and said, even though you can play a lot of these games backwards compatible, but if they came out and said, hey, tomorrow we're going to make an old Xbox classic and it's going to have 20 or 30 games, I can see a shitload of Xbox guys still running out and buying that console. I probably would, and I don't even know why.
The main thing is there's no reason for that. They're doing it for free, right? They're like, hey, you want to play your old games, you got them fuckers, just boot them up. And I think that's the main difference. Not only that, but the reason why there probably won't be a PS2 classic, I think we might see different versions of a PS1, to be honest with you. Like I see them doing a PS, this is what the PlayStation classic, then they're going to do a PS1 classic with the Rumble controllers, right? Because look, the games that they're going to show off on this one are going to be early PlayStation games before they came out with the DualShock, and then they'll probably come out with a version 2, and then they'll do a version 3. They're not going to do a PlayStation 2 one for the same reason there's not going to be an Xbox one. Well, not only would it not make sense, but you can't really emulate that stuff. You know, you would have to be running the actual hardware, and I'm pretty sure that'd still be kind of expensive to do at this point, and so it wouldn't be worth it. You know, like I just don't see that happening. Like I see the N64 Classic as being the last one in that line. They're not going to be able to do a GameCube, I don't think. You know, so I think what we're seeing is kind of the end of the line, and Sony, and they might do refreshes. Maybe Sony does, like I said, and maybe Nintendo does that. Maybe they go the NES Classic 2 with 20 different games or 30 different games. First of all, 20 games is a joke. Second of all, selling you a thing for $100 and only telling you 5 of the games you're getting is one of the most anti-consumer things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
How suspect is that? It's like passing a bill for healthcare and not knowing what's in it until after it passes and then saying that, oh shit, that actually did happen too. But still, you're not supposed to really, sell something to somebody. Isn't there laws set up for that kind of stuff? Right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's not buy this thing with only knowing 5 games. What are the other 15? You know,
here's the question that I have for everyone on the panel, also in the chat. And I think Mooch might have said this the other day on the Xbox Nation podcast. If normally when you're going to go and you're going to show something that you're selling, you're going to put your 5 best titles out there, right?
Yes, thank you.
I think jumping Flash, even though I really enjoyed that back in the days because the jumping mechanic was new and you kind of really felt, because remember those are new graphics back years ago, not now. So you're showing that Final Fantasy VII. Listen, I mean, it's been done 1,000 times already. Yes, it's a great game, but you're going to play it for 2 minutes and you're going to move on. It's coming to the
buy that same version right now on the PS4.
Yes, you can. Hey, did you guys see that tweet from Miyamoto from Nintendo? It shows. I put it in the chat. I mean, I put it in the DM. You guys should take a look at Mooch. You're going to love it. It's a black and white picture of a kid taking a test, and the one in the front has Nintendo. Yeah, looking over his shoulder is Sony, and Miyamoto says PlayStation Classic.
That's a great one, Boom. And shout out to Delilah HD. Delilah put out a tweet and she goes, maybe someone should update this meme. It's that meme that shows everything that Nintendo did and then Sony copied.
Yes.
Like, it needs to be updated. So I mean, realistically, look, here's the thing. I'm not gonna, like Crap said, and someone else probably said it, Noof probably said it as well. I'm not gonna sit here and give the PlayStation fans crap if they want to go buy it. I'm just not, because realistically, it's not for me. It's not my bag. And the same thing, someone said to me, you know, Mooch, if an OG, Crap can answer you, I'll even let Crap answer for me here. If an OG Xbox Mini came out, you'd be all over it. The hell I would.
Not for $100.
The hell I would. I'm not getting the PlayStation one. I don't want the Xbox one. Listen, Crap was telling me the night that what was it? Ninja Gaiden Black came out on back compat. He's like, Mooch, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. I go, Crap, wait 48 hours and no one's going back to it. And that thing it's back in the museum. Oh, they were. And believe me, Crap, when people go buy the PlayStation Classic, if we could log hours and see, which we can't, people will be on that like wild for 48 hours.
I went back and beat KOTOR. So.
God bless you. You should get like a Nobel Peace Prize for that.
I used to go and play that game and beat it every year though, so it's not really a thing. Like, I have it pretty memorized what to do. So it really didn't take me very long. I like it though. So
I don't mind. Listen, if people like that and that's what you like to do, that's fine. My whole thing with it is that we're talking about it for weeks on end and you're putting about 24 hours into it, roughly. All right. And I usually go to Rand. I always ask you when a back compat thing comes up, but it's great because I remember every time I do ask Rand, he'll come back with, Mooch, I've got over 1 million gamer score. I've played these fucking games. I'm not going to do it again. So that's, I believe, did I quote you there, Rand?
Yeah, that's pretty much my quote.
But listen, speak to the ridiculousness you've seen on Twitter. Like, do you think that, I mean, this is a money grab for Sony, right? Would you agree with that? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They saw Nintendo cleaned house. They've got the whole, listen, Sony has got a birthday on Twitter every day. Yeah, you guys see these birthdays?
I mean, right? Of course it's a money grab. I mean, clearly people are buying them. NES Classic and SNES Classic. I mean, MPD last month said that like they're up over 300% this year. And
NES Classic won NPD itself.
Yeah, so I mean, like, there's obviously a market for it. The thing that's funny about it was what Jim Ryan said literally a year ago.
Yeah.
When talking about PS1 and PS2 games, and he said they looked ancient, and why would anybody want to play them?
It is foot and mouth.
It is. It's like, he's my favorite PlayStation executive. You need a dumb quote from him or from somebody, put your foot in your mouth.
Give him a call.
So it's like here's Sony putting out a product, that, here's the thing, like, wouldn't you rather just have Final Fantasy VII and Wild Arms and Tekken 3 on your PlayStation 4 so you don't got to go spend $100 to play them?
And charge people to buy it. They will.
Of course. So I don't know, like the fact that a PlayStation executive is questioning why anybody would play those games, and then you have like millions of people like, I can't wait to give you my money. It's
the part I don't get about it, Rand, realistically, is whether he was with that company in that era, that makes no difference. That's your company. You represent those games. So whenever you say, just like I said with that quote from last week when I gave you that Seinfeld reference, somebody one time was like, hey, Jerry, at the end he does like a Q&A. He's like, what's your favorite episode? And he's like, I don't have a favorite episode. They're all like every breath of air. Every breath of air is as important as the last one, or it means as much to him. My point being is, like, if you work for Sony and someone asks you about old games, you can't sit there and say nobody wants to see these old games. They're your old games. Yes, you do. Like the pictures you have in your house, all those pictures, nobody wants to see those pictures. They're your pictures, but you can't say you don't want to look at them. It's you.
Exactly, Mitch. Old games are kind of like old photo albums now. Like in today's digital age, like why would you want to go back and cycle through some old photo albums, spend hours smelling some stinky old book and trying to figure out the pictures when you got them in a nice, convenient digital library, right? I mean, it's that thing. Everybody it's like back when we were kids. We hang on to our memories. We hang on to our Tonka trucks. We hang on to the first time we played Twister. We hang on to all these things, and we think they're great until we go back and then we go, how the hell did we ever play this shit? Because look, everybody brings up GoldenEye. Yes, every one of us on this panel probably sunk hours and hours and hours into GoldenEye, played LAN matches in our basement or wherever the hell it was. But I went back not so long ago, I actually played that on an N64. First thing you go, man, the graphics suck, right? Yeah. And then second of all, you're like, it has one analog stick. How the fuck do you control the camera? And it's so slow and antique. I mean, it's good for its time, but it's aged and it hasn't aged well.
The walls in that game look like somebody took a gray marker from Mario art, right? From that whatever that was.
Mario Paint.
Mario Paint, thank you. And they literally just dragged it across. There's your wall. Don't run into it. You know, and it really goes back to the pictures. Yeah. You know, when you say, just like you said and what Rand just said, if you take these titles and you put them on the PS4, if you guys ever gone anywhere and they have like old family pictures on one of those digital or electronic frames, a kid will actually come up in the family and look at those pictures and go, that's really cool because it flips every 5 seconds and it's a digital frame. You have that kid go back and sit there and look at Polaroids? He's out of there. He is out of there. He'll do chores before he has to sit with his grandparents looking at those pictures.
Well, Mooch, nobody wants to see that with all those old PlayStation TVs that nobody bought. So,
well, there you go.
Let's put them in a PlayStation 1 slim down thing and sell them to people for $100 a pop.
Let me ask you guys this. This is something else that's kind of grinding my gears a little bit. That's kind of crap. You brought it up on Xbox Nation, so I'll give you credit. It really is something. Listen, there's nobody probably more excited than me for Red Dead. There's a couple of you guys that are more excited, but nonetheless, Red Dead Redemption 2, I can't wait for it. But can we stop with the screenshots? Somebody was like, Mooch, 27 new screenshots out for Red Dead. I don't want to see still art. I don't want to see a bowl of fruit next to John Morrison's grandfather. I don't care. I want to see the game. Can we see the game?
Gets people hyped, Mooch. Come on.
Who the hell's getting hyped at a portrait? I mean,
you see all the people that are like, "Hey, Mooch, look at this." Those are the people getting hyped, man.
It's a bit much, though, isn't it?
It's like holding candy in front of a baby and it's just salivating.
I think the game's gonna be fine, but I'm not like all.
I'm not saying the game's not. I'm just saying, can I see some video? I don't want to see any more still art.
I'm not even as excited for that as some other. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest with you,
I don't know what it was. Here's the thing with me, guys, and maybe Red Dead 2 is not going to scratch that itch. But the reason I loved Red Dead, the first one, so much is because Grand Theft Auto has a tendency that you can get lost in it, right? There's so much to do. There's so much going on. In the first Red Dead, they really had a lot to do, but you could really stay focused on the main mission and just do a couple of the side missions and kind of really not feel like you weren't experiencing the game. I have a feeling Red Dead Redemption 2 is so massive that what I just said is not going to hold water for this one. But like, that's why I really, because I love what Rockstar does, but with GTA, I kind of get lost in that massive world. Are you guys, I mean, where are you guys at with Red Dead? Because crap, you're right. There's a lot of people that just aren't into the cowboys and, and robbers thing. Like, so are you guys all pumped for this, or this is just something you're getting because you feel like you got to kind of get it because it's Rockstar?
Got to kind of get it.
Right.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm not going to say that I'm not excited for the game, but is it going to be the game that I'm going to pump 100 hours in? Well, I have to see, because I did play the first one for at least 50 hours. And then when Undead Nightmare came out, I probably put another 50 in that. So I did enjoy it, but I don't know. I mean, the game looks phenomenal. It's going to be what you would expect in a Rockstar quality game.
Oh, it's going to be great.
And I mean, but there is a lot to play. That's the problem. That game is going to take a lot of your time. And do you want to put other things aside? That's really what you got to ask yourself.
Well, my only issue, and I'm probably the only one, because I don't know, and I'm interested to hear what Rand's got to say too, but when that comes out, the only game that's going to get in the way is I wanted to put a good amount of attention, but again, Destiny's going to run into this, is Fallout 76. I'm very much intrigued by that game. I think it's got the possibility to be really, really something special. But at the same time, that takes time and dedication and a crew. And then you've got Destiny that takes time and dedication and a crew. And then you've got Red Dead Redemption, which just takes time. So it's like, that's, for anybody that works all day and has a family and a household and things to take care of, that's a whole lot of time dedicated to three worlds that are going to get really hard to get invested in. What do you guys think about this? Boom, Rand, Clowns, what do you guys think?
Well, I'll jump in real quick. I think you're right. I really think that you're
retired, Boom. What do you do have more time than us, but realistically, I don't think you have time for those three games.
You know what? You would think that someone that is retired would have
don't have that much time.
But it's again, forget that I'm just running the channel solo and I'm trying to put out as much content daily as I can.
Right.
On top of maintain a household.
Well, we're all doing it solo, Boom. We're not Justine. We're trying. We're trying to get there.
I am gonna say this. I think when games are that big you logistically have to take a step back and say, and dedicate yourself to whatever that one game is going to be. I think that's where you got to spend your time, because I don't know, for me as a gamer that I can't jump from game to game. What do you think? I didn't touch Tomb Raider almost a week until after it was released, because I refused to forget what I was doing in Spider-Man.
Right.
And once I beat it, that was great. And I
could have clued you in, man. Swing to the left, swing to the right.
No, I don't necessarily mean the mechanics of it. I just mean that of everything I want to do. Like I said, I really want to platinum that game, and I'm 5 trophies away from doing it. But Tomb Raider just became a point where it was just too many people were talking about it for me to say, you know what? I think 50 hours plus in Spider-Man has been enough. I'll platinum and add another time. I have to start Tomb Raider. So all these big games, like for you, you're going to be playing Blackout a significant amount. I really see you jumping into that and going head on. So are you going to not play that to put 8 hours riding a horse around? I don't know. You're going to want to.
I'm a big Red Dead fan. I'll be honest with you. I mean, here's what I have to do, and this is me saying it to you, but I'm really talking to myself. When Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, I'm dedicating a good week and a half, 2 weeks to just homing in on that game. So at least I get my feet planted. And then if you want to leave, you can leave and then come back, because at that point in time, you realistically, except for Fallout 76, if you're not getting Fallout 76, you have from the time Red Dead comes out until Resident Evil 2 comes out in January. For all practical purposes. So, I mean, you've got time on your side there to really enjoy that through the Christmas holiday. Rand, what about you? Are you a Red Dead fan? Are you all in on Red Dead Fever?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing the campaign. It's I actually enjoy the fact that the multiplayer is not launching until November, so everybody can kind of chill through the campaign. It's going to take time. I'm sure there'll be boring elements to it, just like Red Dead 1, where like, hey, you want to like lasso some horses and some cows,
get the cows all rustled up in this one area.
They want to introduce the gaming mechanics to you, but I mean, Rockstar's like really never disappointed me. Grand Theft Auto 5, well, Grand Theft Auto 4 was garbage, but for the most part, they put out quality work, and it's been a long time, since a Red Dead game, so I'm excited to play it.
Well,
the thing is, it's like,
go ahead, Rand.
Well,
I'm gonna come back to you anyway.
I'm not like super hyped because they're not showing much of the game.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Screenshots, and it's like I kind of want. I'm at the point now. I was like, okay, most other games would have 5 trailers by now with like hours of gameplay, but like this game's just like literally like there's like 2 trailers that were exactly the same, and then this gameplay one. It's like I want more. Like I want to.
You have Jeff Keighley that put a tweet out this morning, I believe, where he said it's basically the most realistic. He said we've been always looking to have these open world games where they're like, oh, it's like you're really immersed. He said of all the games he's played, that this is the game that gives him that feeling the most thus far in his gaming, history of his life.
Hey, fiddly diddly, this game's got one thing that no other game has got, and that is 4K horse testicles. That is taking it to the bank.
Thanks, Cletus.
Amazing. How'd they accomplish that?
Crap, tell Rand your issue, because I think you guys have both have this issue, and Rand's he's a big time completionist with achievements.
I'm not so much a completionist.
Remember the achievements though? You were like,
yeah, it was like so me and Mooch were joking around. I was like, so it was like ride your horse upside down for 400,000 miles while aiming a gun and getting 14,000 headshots for 5 gamer score.
Yeah, shoot 137 bears that only have a red nose in these hills for 5 gamer score.
Exactly. It's like to me that's why I never played Max Payne 3. I thought that game looked fantastic.
It was great.
But I'm sure it was, but it was like I'm looking through the achievement list on there, and I'm like, I'm gonna get like 40 gamer score beating this game, and so pass.
It was all the gamer score. It was. I mean, Randall, is that like when you play Red Dead? Are you looking at that? Because I mean, even someone like you that's a completionist, you do have to look at that and say, this is no walk in the park for a completionist and achievements.
Doesn't enter my mind at all. Not for that game.
Okay, all right. So that's not. Well, I mean, you've come on the show many times and said that. Getting the 1,000 out of 1,000 isn't always your criteria.
Remember the time Jeff Keighley's breaking news was Kojima's haircut? I mean, that was so.
Or the time where he gave the price of the Xbox One X a couple hours before Microsoft revealed it.
Which apparently everyone's saying it was okay with, but I don't think Microsoft was okay with that at all. Personally.
Will we ever find out?
Only when someone writes a book in 15 years, like Seamus Blackley's doing now. No, but listen, I realistically think that like you have like Red Dead Redemption that gets a pass. And look, I was saying this, shout out to So Shady in the chat. Like he was like, come on, Mooch. He's like, I'm excited for these pictures. So am I. I like it. But all I'm saying is what Rand's saying. This close to a released game of this magnitude by this.
Well, Rockstar can do what they want. That game's going to score 100, 98, 99 Metacritic. And it's
is there a chance that crap? Is there a chance that Red Dead 2 doesn't win Game of the Year?
No chance.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm just saying, Spider-Man is 3.3 million in 3 days.
Spider-Man's not even going to be in the competitions because sales don't really equate a great game or not. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it is.
I think God of War.
That game came around. Yeah, God of War will be, but Spider-Man came around at a good time. If those Marvel stuff wasn't as popular as it is now, like nobody gave a shit about Spider-Man 2 when it came out a few years ago. You know what I mean? Right. Nobody cared. That was realistically before he was part of the Marvel universe and all that stuff, and it was just those terrible Sony movies. If they come out with a Venom game for that movie, nobody's gonna care. Right? I just don't think anybody's gonna care. It was like it is what it is, and I think I can remember when The Last of Us came out, and everybody was like, "That's the game of the year," and then GTA 5 came out and was like, "Here, hold my beer." It's just
it's true.
Like Rockstar comes out, puts out their game of the year, and then we'll see them again in 5 years when they put out another game of the year.
You're 110% right there. Now, this is something that was an ongoing debate before Spider-Man came out, and I guess I was just going by quality of game, guys. But maybe I'm going to be wrong here. I thought that God of War would ultimately still hold the crown of most sales over Spider-Man, but now
rated M title. Really see how that would have been the case because like kids and stuff are gonna buy this and
Spider-Man is the most recognized hero across all of the platform comic platforms. That's everyone. So and on top of that, the MCU is ultra hot. I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp just passed 1 billion worldwide. So if what I'm saying? So
and I'm a big Paul Rudd fan, but I think that's a bit ridiculous. But that's
I thought forget that what I thought about the movie. More importantly, right now, the MCU is hot. It's in everyone's wheelhouse. Everyone's talking about it. Infinity Gauntlet obviously was another $1 billion film. Spider-Man played a big part in it. He's going to play even a bigger part in next year's. And it's just. When you're going to take a mainstream character like that and make it an exclusive, which I think is ingenious of Sony to do, and I've been applauding their marketing for what seems like a year now that I've been on the show. This is great. It's great for Spider-Man. It's great for Marvel. But who I'm really happy for? Insomniac Games. This puts them in the AAA status that I believe that they've always in my opinion, they've been AAA developers. Some people say otherwise. I think that this really puts them on the map, and good on them for that.
Yeah, no, and I like that you gave them the applause at the end there. They definitely deserve it. I've always liked Insomniac Games. I really have. Realistically, I think that this was a no-brainer. You guys said, you have to give credit where credit's due, and I always say you do it when it's right. I mean, at this point, Sony is tied to Spider-Man. Let's not pretend that they just picked it out of a hat. They do have. I know they had to negotiate the rights and this and that. I get it, but realistically, they do. They play a role in the Spider-Man world as far as when it's on the big screen. So realistically, that's why this is a long debate to get into it with only 10 minutes left in the show. But to be honest with you, Microsoft's got these new studios, and I'm hoping that somebody over there is coming up with something not like Spider-Man, but like something where it's so. Like novel, and it's such a household name that maybe they can get something that big. It would be nice to see them be able to lock something down like that, because personally, Spider-Man, I think, is getting a lot of credit because you've got a lot of comic book fans, you got a lot of people that are fans of the movie, and like you said, the MCU is hot right now, right? I mean, I understand, Ant-Man and the Wasp, but if you're telling me Ant-Man and the Wasp and this and that and this and that and everything is making a lot of money, what that tells me? There's just a lot of comic book fans, and they're all right, and they're plunking their $20 down to go watch.
I don't know if that's it anymore, because look, nobody. I don't even know who the hell a Captain Marvel is. I don't care, but people are gonna go flock to that shit.
That's my point.
I don't.
That's my point.
But I don't think they're comic book fans. I just think they're fans of that kind of universe now from watching the movies. You know what I mean?
Okay, so where I said comic book, you're just saying that action hero, anything that's action hero.
Yeah,
right
look,
now.
I know the people that I think the majority of people go. That's why they don't have to stick that close to the comic book. You see, like the nerds,
right?
Are like they did this differently. Oh my god, I'm so pissed off. But the average person has no idea.
None.
It's like The Walking Dead. Like when I was watching that, and everybody's like, that differentiated. That character's not even in there in the comics, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Most people that are enjoying that right now don't read the comics.
Right.
Most people that are watching these movies aren't the comic fans. That's the difference.
Yeah, but see, here's what happens though, crap. And Stephen Rausch in the chat goes, Mooch, I never read the comics. I love the movies. But here's the thing. I'm with you. I don't read the comics really either. Okay. I don't read any of them. But my point being is that you have the older crew that did read the comics. And now the MCU is hot because the older crew, which is the adults now, are buying all that. Right, boom, right? You're buying all that stuff. You've read all the comics. You're going to the movies. You're introducing it to your nephew. Your nephew's playing the games. Your nephew's going to the movies. So what I'm saying is it's a generation. It's the opposite of a generation gap. It's actually trickled down comic-nomics. Okay? I don't know what the hell it is. It's something like that. It's literally the fact that you have a Boom's era and our era talking to the younger generation, and it's melding together perfectly. Like, here's my point, guys, okay? Somebody like Paul Rudd that started his career from like that Alicia Silverstone movie, I understand that Ant-Man was fine. And boom, you're not the only one. I know a lot of people went to it and said it was entertaining. That's great. But Ant-Man and the Wasp, to do the money that thing did, that's staggering. You had to be Jurassic Park in the day. Now you're just Ant-Man and the Wasp. You're Paul Rudd. Come on. I mean, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd was an Anchorman.
Did you say Paul Rudd or Paul Rudd?
Right? I mean, he was the one that said, 60% of the time it works all the time. That's his claim to fame. So what I'm saying to you is realistically, I think things like Crap said, I think you put out a Marvel game, you put out a good comic book game or movie, and people are just flocking to it, and that's the way it is. Yeah. Thank you. So shady like that one. Comic-onomics. Thank you. It's hard to say five times fast. Go ahead.
Like it's the way it is. There's a way to do it, and Marvel's doing it, and there's a way not to do it, and that's the DC way. So
really got a zinger last minute there, folks. Always
it's true. It's true. Like those jokes, but write themselves. I mean, can you imagine if Marvel did shit that way? Well, here's Captain America, but here's a standalone Captain America with a different Captain America. Like that's what they're doing over there. Like here's the Joker. He's Jared Leto. But then we're gonna get this other Joker,
right?
To be the Joker.
That has nothing to do with the DCEU. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Like the shit that they're doing is absolutely asinine. I'm sorry.
There you go. That's what I was waiting for.
It's asinine. I've never seen.
So you guys are fans or not fans of the new Joker movie?
I think it's ridiculous.
He looks like a clown, like not in a good way.
Yeah, I know. It's his origin story, and it's just there's no need. Listen. When you try and look, the thing is this: you had Superman, right? You had BVS, which was an abomination, right? Then you had the Suicide Squad, which you didn't need, but the only reason why they did it is because they were trying to get 13 bad guys into one film.
I thought Suicide Squad was one of the worst movies I've ever sat through.
And Wonder Woman was fantastic. Wonder Woman is probably the highlight. And to be honest with you, Justice League wasn't terrible.
It wasn't bad.
No, I've watched it. I've actually enjoyed it. But
I enjoyed it.
It was that they tried to take a running start before learning how to walk, as opposed to what they did over at Marvel, where they took 10 years to tell this gigantic story leading up to the Infinity Gauntlet. That's the problem. And
they plan theirs out well in advance. And the main thing you got to do is get your stars on board for at least the initial run. Yeah. Like you can't be changing your actors and stuff like midway through, like, and they don't let anybody know what's going on, right? Like, so is that guy still Superman?
No, he's fired. They fired him.
Well, they say that, but then his agent was like, the cape's still in his closet, and he did some kind of weird thing. I don't know. So
they made a comic out of his career.
Maybe he's not fired. I don't know. It's Ben Affleck. He's not going to be Batman.
He's in rehab and he's leaving the role. That's confirmed.
Yeah. So I mean, and they were going to younger anyway. Like, why wouldn't you do a Batman movie with him to set up Batman? Like, I don't know, just the stuff to do a Superman movie that doesn't jump all over the place in a timeline, and like I don't know, do some stuff that actually appeals to people. It's like for me, it's really just a mess, right? And I watched Justice League, and I was just like, this maybe would have been an okay movie, but you can see that They rushed. They didn't want it to be long, like Batman versus Superman, so they made it at 2 hours, right, or whatever it was, hour and a half, 2 hour, whatever it was. And then they had just these weird, like a terrible villain,
right?
And then they had like that nobody's even heard of, and then they had like these weird color palettes at the end, right? Like. What was it? Looked like a it looked like Spy Kids 3D or something. It was terrible, man. I was like, what's going on here?
The skinny behind what happened with that, and this is typical WB, and that's why they're failing. The movie was originally 3 hours. They cut an hour, and this is the truth. This has been numerous sites reported on this. They cut it an hour so it could play more times in the theater.
Wow.
Okay, and that has been confirmed. Okay,
definitely not something you do as an artist. I don't even get that. No, you
don't. And to be fair, the original director Zack Snyder, whether you know or not, and this is really inside baseball, his daughter, she killed herself, and during the filming of that, and him and his wife tried to come back to finish it, and they just couldn't, and for obvious reason, they lost their daughter. Right. So they walked away from the film, and then a bunch of rewrites were done. Who the hell came in? The guy that
Joss Whedon went in.
Yes. Great, good one, Crap. Yeah, Josh Whedon came in, and he finished up the movie and did a bunch of rewrites and cut it and this, that, and the third. And it's just whatever they have touched, they have ruined. Again, if you can tell me with a straight face when you can have the Trinity, which is Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in one film, and somehow fuck that up, then something is wrong at the helm.
Yeah, not just that, but a lot of those movies, all the writing's done for you.
Yes.
You just got to kind of manipulate it a different way. It's like taking somebody's homework, rewriting it, and handing it with your name on it. And you're right. And realistically, Crap made a good point in the fact that they kept on changing the character. Like when you look at the Marvel movies, okay, whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy, the way that they tied it in Thor and Loki, and you go Captain America and Iron Man, they've got these guys there for like 15 years. They're playing the same roles. But guess what? We have now made a relationship with that actor playing that role. And it's hard to see anybody else play any of those roles. When you hear Downey Jr. doesn't maybe not want to do Iron Man anymore, and don't get me wrong, he looked probably the oldest he's ever looked in the last movie. But I didn't give a shit. I don't care if he's wearing a top hat and cane next time. Like literally, that's the guy I want to see in the role. So I mean, realistically speaking, when you had we've had 18 Batmans, guys. Okay, George Clooney was Batman. That doesn't sit well with anybody. Okay, so I mean, realistically, guys, we can go on and on. I'm sorry, guys, we are at the 2 hour mark. I want to get these guys gaming again. We got people playing some big games this weekend, and I know you guys will be too. Let me go in reverse order here. I'll start with Noof Nukem, boom, boom, kaboom, boom, boom. He'll be mixing it up with you soon. Boom. Let people know where they can find you, Noof.
Well, despite all the explosions, you guys can find me on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. Also on the Game Dosage podcast Monday nights. So go check that out on the Tactic Glitchers channel. But outside of that, that's it for me, guys. This was an awesome show tonight. A very enthusiastic and awesome panel. Thanks, Mooch, and all the guys for having me here. It was great to jump on with some of these topics. I was excited to be here. So and to everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. You guys rock. And that's it for Noof. Boom, boom, kaboom, out.
Nice, Noof. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. And then Rand, Rand, it's always fun to have you on the show, man. Because honestly, you're one of those unique guys that can dive deep into all the stuff that's going on in hardcore gaming news, and then you just also shoot the shit with us. And we've known you for so long. Hope you'll come on again soon. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, it was a blast coming on. They can find me on YouTube, Randall Thor 19. Check it out if you haven't already.
They know where to find you. Find Rand. Believe me, he's everywhere in gaming. And then I've got my buddy here, Italian Clowns, who's probably sunburnt somewhere. Clowns, how you doing, buddy? Let people know where they can find you. It's good to have you back.
Yeah, I've been hiding from my dog. Sorry, guys. Every Thursday, 4 Guys with Quarters.
Great show.
Yeah, so you can find us there. And I'll be on Breakfast with Boom on the 28th as well.
Nice, buddy. Looking forward to that. That'll be great. And I don't usually do this in the middle of the show, but intro or outro. But Yobi Dren says, will you ever take a chance and do a 24-hour podcast for a good cause in the future? If it's for a good cause, Yobi Dren, why the hell not? DM me and we'll orchestrate something. Sure, that sounds like fun. Not to mention, I love to talk, if you guys haven't noticed.
No.
All right? Who would even assume something like that? Speaking of assuming things, I'm assuming this guy's going to do a podcast right after this one. So you're a Boombastic Boom. Where can people find you?
Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. BoomstickXL. My DM is open to everyone because I love this community. And check out my channel, Double Barrel Gaming, on YouTube. There are 2 live shows weekly. I think that you will dig them.
Very cool. Very cool, Boom. Thank you for being here tonight. And then last but certainly not least, my co-host, and we'll be back next week on M&C Evenings. Crap Gamer. Crap, where can they find you this weekend?
Crap Gamer Reviews, and we will be back next week. We got some stuff planned. We're kicking it out. Doing some stuff. Unfortunately, with J-Dubs leaving, we're forced to kind of do some things. But it's everything should be kind of normal, what the people are used to by next week. So at least the beginnings of that, anyway.
The beginning. It takes a long time. Jay's very talented, and it's going to be hard to fill those shoes. But we'll get more into that on M&C Evenings next week. But we're going to do our darndest to get that show funny as hell for you guys. So with that being said, guys, do please hit the subscribe button. You're already here. Hit the button. It doesn't hurt. And apparently there's a bell an inch away from the subscribe button. Chief, who's in the chat, who says he's new to the channel, hit the button, for crying out loud. Hit the like button. Let people know you love Mooch. We'll see you guys next week, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, game on. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Later, everybody.